There are times when the footsteps alone are all you hear. When gravity fills the air as the lights go down and two of the world's most powerful men emerge to a one-of-a-kind moment that can only belong to Madison Square Garden. The heavyweights have arrived. Tonight, one of the UFC's most decorated champions looks to defend his title against a bruising barbarian who can turn any man's lights out with one shot. But first, it's a middleweight showcase featuring an unbeaten phenom with a style of his own. Ready to take over the division.
I'm just getting warmed up.
The kickboxing world champion faces a devastating knockout artist with the firepower to stop the rising contender dead in his tracks. In the co-main event, one of New York's most beloved champions, owner of some of the most iconic moments in UFC history, who has made a name for himself as a smasher of legacies.
That's it! Chris Weidman!
But standing in his way, a 6th-degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. One of the most feared names in UFC history. Jacare looks to snap up another victim in his quest for contention.
Jacare Souza by submission!
And finally, it's a marquee clash to decide who is the baddest man on the planet. Owner of the most knockouts in UFC heavyweight history. A dangerous beast. A never-say-die fighting force.
Ball calls out!
Takes aim at the title.
The Black Beast!
But the champion is no ordinary fighter.
I'm a two-division champion, baby!
One of only 2 men to hold 2 UFC titles at the same time. Never beaten at heavyweight. An Olympian, a future Hall of Famer, one of the most decorated grapplers and highly versatile strikers in the entire UFC.
Cormier knocks me down! UFC history!
Can the double champ bring the house down and add another signature win to his legendary career?
One of the greatest of all time!
Tonight, from Madison Square Garden in New York City, it's UFC 230, Cormier versus Lewis, and it starts right now.
Dateline, New York, New York! Tonight, the city that never sleeps is the epicenter of the mixed martial arts world yet again. And in a few short hours, the UFC Heavyweight Championship will be on the line inside the world's most famous arena. Live from Madison Square Garden in New York, USA, this is UFC 230, Cormier versus Lewis. Presented by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Closed captioning is available for tonight's telecast. The broadcast is also available in Spanish, brought to you by UFCEspanol.com. And with that, it is great to have you with us on pay-per-view once again tonight. I'm John Anik. So 4 months ago, one Daniel Cormier made history. He became just the 2nd simultaneous 2-division champion in UFC history. Tonight, he chases yet more rarefied air as he tries to become the first man to successfully defend both of those titles. But standing in his way is the Black Beast, heavyweight contender Derrick Lewis, who can effectively change his life forever if he can spring what would be a massive, monumental upset here tonight. Thrilled to welcome in my broadcast partners, the legend Joe Rogan, UFC lightweight contender Paul Felder. Not bad to have the Madison Square Garden backdrop for the big heavyweight title fight tonight.
It's beautiful. There's something about this place. There's energy in the air here that doesn't exist in any other building. We know this is the most famous arena in the history of combat sports, and you can feel it when you walk in the building.
Yeah, you really can, man. As soon as we walked in here, just looking at the canvas, and you can tell by the way that the guys are fighting tonight. They know what are MSG. They know they're in New York City, and we got a big main event tonight, and I'm excited.
Well, let's get to it. Daniel Cormier, Derrick Lewis. Pretty incredible how quickly this fight came together. Big one in front of DC in the Black Beast.
Huge one in front of DC, but if anybody can handle it, it's that man. Undefeated at heavyweight. One of the best mixed martial arts fighters of all time, and a truly world-class wrestler. And I think that is his key to victory in this fight. He's got to get a hold of Derrick Lewis. He's got to wear him out. He's got to take him down. He's got to beat him up. that Derrick Lewis has ever faced, but Derrick Lewis may be the biggest knockout artist that DC's ever faced.
Not only the biggest knockout artist, Joe, possibly the biggest man that DC has ever had to face in the Octagon, and he's got the power to show it. No matter how down he is in a fight, he always seems to get hurt, and he comes back and gets the knockout, and they're brutal. Not only on the feet can he knock you down with his punches or his crazy flying kicks, which he likes to throw out there, but his ground and pound is unrelenting. When he gets on top of you, if you are hurt, he is going to go in there, and he is going to put the finish on you.
Now, certainly a lot of casual observers will marvel at the size discrepancy here, but Daniel Cormier, he has never lost at heavyweight in MMA, Joe, and he doesn't plan on starting tonight.
Well, there's a size discrepancy, but there's also a skill discrepancy, and that's where things balance out. Because Daniel Cormier is without a doubt the best fighter Derrick Lewis has ever faced in his career. He's multifaceted, he's extremely well-rounded, he has a huge history of victory against some of the best fighters in the world behind him tonight.
All right, co-main event in this building tonight, the former UFC middleweight champion Chris Weidman, instrumental in getting MMA legalization here in New York State. Tonight, Paul, he draws Jacare Souza.
Yeah, and that is a tough fight for anybody in that division to draw. But I really do believe that Chris Weidman has a variety of skills that can get it done tonight. He's got great stand-up. We see him knocking out Anderson Silva, breaking that long win streak, his ground and pound. Look at that elbow that he lands there. He's very well versed on the feet. He comes from a great camp, but more importantly, he has the submission skills to either stay safe or look for his own way to finish the fight on the mat. And he's got the better wrestling in this matchup, which is why I think that makes Chris so dangerous in this matchup.
And if he could finish Jacare Souza, what a feather in his cap that would be, because this man is one of the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artists of all time, and absolutely one of the greatest that's ever competed in mixed martial arts. And on top of that, his striking has come up in leaps and bounds. He's got a head kick knockout of Derek Brunson. If he gets you on the ground, he is absolutely a constrictor. He can submit any man in the world. And Paul and I were talking about this before the fight. We don't know where this is going to go. Is this going to be a kickboxing fight? Is he going to go to the ground? And mutual respect from these two men at the weigh-ins yesterday.
No doubt about it, but they will put that aside for 15 minutes or fewer later tonight. A big one at Madison Square Garden tonight, folks. We are glad you are with us for it. Here's a look at what else is coming up. The rest of the fight card is brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Get up to 60% off until November 5th. Play as your favorite UFC superstars in the most complete MMA game ever made. EA Sports UFC 3. Available on Xbox One and PS4. Well, it is moving night in the middleweight division. 37-year-old contender David Branch is about as local as it gets. He was a two-weight champion outside the UFC, and after a knockout of Thiago Marreta Santos earlier this year, the Renzo Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt finds himself on the brink of title contention. He'll try to maximize the showcase tonight against divisional newcomer Jared Cannonier. He was training for a lower-profile fight later this month in Argentina when the call came in to fight Branch on pay-per-view. It amounts to a massive opportunity for the Killer Gorilla, who can gain some immediate traction if he can spring the upset here tonight. Also at 185 pounds, Neptune, New Jersey's Carl Robertson is set for his third UFC appearance. A former pro kickboxer, Robertson has drawn rave reviews since coming off of Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Tonight, it marks the biggest fight of his career to date, and it comes against four-time UFC veteran, the Welshman Jack Marshman. Marshman is a versatile finisher, 13 knockouts and 5 submission wins already to his credit, and with wins in 8 of his last 10 overall. Marshman arrives at his UFC pay-per-view debut tonight here at MSG. These locker room shots are brought to you by P3, the official protein snack of UFC. And there is the hard-working Wilmington, North Carolina-bred southpaw Derek Brunson. 8 of his last 9 fights have ended in the first round. He's got speed, he's got power, he has taken out some of the world's best at 185 pounds. But tonight, the UFC-tested Brunson will play the role of betting underdog against a New Zealander who is all the rage at present. 29-year-old striking sensation Israel Adesanya. He made his Octagon debut earlier in 2018, earned main event status this summer, and promptly improved to 3-0 in the UFC. Tonight, the last style bet on a stage befitting his disposition will try to keep the momentum going. All right, with that, let's get to the rules of the Octagon. 3 judges score the fight. The bout duration is 3 5-minute rounds, but for championship fights and all UFC main events, we go 5 5-minute rounds. A 10-point must-scoring system is in effect. The round winner gets 10 points, his or her opponent 9 or fewer, and scoring is based on effective striking and grappling, followed by aggression, and then Octagon control in that order. Also, the New York State Athletic Commission does employ the newer set of unified rules for MMA. We will also have the benefit of instant replay. That is only to look at a fight-ending sequence. So once replay is invoked, that particular fight cannot be restarted. All competing athletes have been made aware. All right, the table is set. We are up and running on pay-per-view from Manhattan. Israel Adesanya has had an expeditious rise in the middleweight division, but with a swarming wrestling attack and undeniable power, Derek Brunson has the tools to stop him in his tracks. One of the UFC's breakout stars of 2018, Israel Adesanya has lived up to all the hype thus far. But tonight, he will be asked to dig deeper than ever before as he meets up with perennial middleweight contender Derek Brunson in a bout that will prove one man ready to enter the title race in 2019.
The key to beating Derek Brunson tonight is the same key as always. Just go in there, do me.
I think Israel is a solid stand-up fighter. He likes to talk a lot. Got a lot of hype behind him, but I don't think he's ready for my skill set.
After dazzling on the regional circuit, former kickboxing star Israel Adesanya was called to the big show in 2018. And all he's done since is deliver, defeating Rob Wilkinson and Marvin Vettori, and then Brad Tavares in a main event to earn his rightful spot in the top 10 and a fight against one of the division's best.
Everyone, including Derek himself, has always said there's hype around me, and yeah, there is, but behind the hype, they're gonna find out what the real deal is.
Despite a background as a high-level college wrestler, Derek Brunson has made his name in the UFC as one of the sport's most devastating finishers. His highlight tape includes knockouts of Lyoto Machida, Uriah Hall, and Sam Alvey. And tonight, he is hell-bent on adding some Adesanya B-roll to his reel.
Israel hasn't faced anybody quite like me. All the other guys are solid fighters, but you know, I'm at the top of the division, and it's a big step up for him.
So here is the unflappable Nigerian-born Israel Adesanya, 4th UFC appearance here tonight. And Joe, this is a striker. You got to sit down with him recently on your podcast. He's really enjoyed everything that Fight Week has to offer, but he knows the focus is on this performance tonight.
Yeah, I've been a fan of his for a long time. Before he ever fought in the UFC, we actually went back and forth online, and I asked him about MMA. And he said when the time is right, he's going to do it. Then he started taking some fights in some small organizations and eventually made his way to the UFC. But he is one of the highest level kickboxers you're ever going to see in MMA today. He's got beautiful technique. He's so effortless in his movements. He's constantly changing angles and giving you different looks. He reads you. He sees things you're doing. He makes feints. He sees. He's not just button mashing, as he likes to call it. He's looking at you with a very specific purpose. And his technique is at the highest level you're going to see in MMA.
Yeah, what I'm most curious, though, is if Derek Brunson decides to really try to turn this into a wrestling match. Because I agree with you. He's one of the most fantastic strikers to watch. You see some of his highlights. He'll whip up and kick and just neck kick you and knock you out. And he doesn't have to think about it. It's instincts for him.
Yeah, he's a genius striker, but this is without a doubt going to be the toughest guy he's ever faced. I mean, Derek Brunson has a real resume.
Yeah.
And without question, the best wrestler he will have ever shared the Octagon with. Number 6 in the world at present, Derek Brunson making his 14th UFC appearance. Joe, this is a guy who has headlined for the UFC in the past, and maybe he'll lean on the wrestling chops here tonight. I mean, that would appear to be a decent strategy against a striker as gifted as Adesanya.
I mean, he's been in there with everybody. I mean, he's been in there with Robert Whittaker, came guns blazing against Robert Whittaker. He's been in there with the greatest, Anderson Silva, the greatest middleweight of all time. He's been in there with Lyoto Machida and knocked him out. I mean, this is a guy that's got some real experience experience, and he's got heavy, heavy hands. But as Paul said, the wrestling base might be the most interesting aspect of his overall fight game.
This fighter description brought to you by P3, the official protein snack of UFC.
Yeah, for Derrick Brunson, I think that the wrestling is definitely something he's going to have to attack to get a victory tonight. But you can't just go in and shoot on a guy like Adesanya. He knows that's what you're going to do. He's expecting that. He's worked on that. He's got to use those powerful strikes to get inside, make Adesanya work, get against the fence, grind on him a little bit, wear on him. And I think Brunson's probably the bigger of the men. Adesanya's very tall and lean, but you see as Derrick Brunson stepping into the octagon right now, he's a big boy for 185.
Yeah, he's much thicker, much stronger.
Brunson has repeatedly called Adesanya skinny leading up to this fight. In terms of bad blood, this one certainly has it. Adesanya and Brunson set to settle their differences here tonight. This Tale of the Tape brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Derrick Brunson, 34 years old. Adesanya is 29. Adesanya, the taller man by 3 inches. That matches his advantage in reach. All right, now for the official introductions. Here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena in the Big Apple, New York City, New York, for UFC 230, Cormier versus Lewis, presented by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. And now, this fight is 3 rounds in the UFC middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a freestyle fighter holding an undefeated professional record. 14 wins, no losses. He stands 6 feet 4 inches tall, weighing in at 185 pounds. Fighting out of Auckland, New Zealand, by way of Lagos, Nigeria, presenting the number 9 ranked middleweight contender in the world, Israel, the last style bender, Adesanya! And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a wrestler holding a professional record, 18 wins, 6 losses. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighing in at 186 pounds. Fighting out of Wilmington, North Carolina, presenting the number 6 ranked middleweight contender in the world, Derrick Brunson. And when the action begins, our referee in charge, Herb Dean.
The beautiful Brittany Palmer getting us started for round 1 of a possible 3. This fight as anticipated as any on this pay-per-view here tonight. Derrick Brunson, number 6 in the world, taking on the 9th ranked Israel Adesanya. Tonight's fight clock is brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Brunson out of the southpaw stance in white, Israel Adesanya center of the octagon in black.
This is a real level test fight for Style Bender. This is where we find out what's up. Because this is without a doubt the most dangerous and the most experienced guy he's ever fought. And right now, Derrick Brunson's got a hold of him.
Wow, immediately got right to the body lock, Joe.
And look how much bigger he looks.
And he's strong, and he's, like we talked about, he's faced the best in the middleweight division by far.
Yes.
Maybe not always won, but he's been in there with the best.
Well, he has beaten world champion Lyoto Machida. He's faced Whitaker. He's faced Anderson Silva. I mean, this guy's been in there. Yoel Romero. He's been in there with some of the greats.
Almost everyone who fights Adesanya is going to test that takedown defense. He stuffed 12 shots in his UFC debut. So Adesanya flips Brunson the bird after Brunson gets warned for twice, Joe, grabbing his shorts.
He grabbed his shorts twice. Look at this. Interesting.
I understand, but you're losing you're losing the position for it. Don't do it again. I don't want to take points.
All right, so no point, just lost the position.
Wait, to the center.
Israel's ready to get in there.
Herb Dean, amongst the best.
He's got his work cut out for him tonight.
I mean, that's the gold standard right there, especially now that Big John McCarthy's not refereeing anymore.
Yeah, Joe, I'm looking at the replay. He almost ripped his shorts off. That's how bad that grab was.
And a lot of times, you can speak to this, Paul, it's instinctive. You don't realize you're doing it until it's too late.
Dude, you're almost fighting for your life in there. You want to win. You want to do so well that you're doing things you don't even realize you're doing something. Wow.
Good early sign for Adesanya, able to stay upright. Oh,
but immediately re-engages, which I don't think is the best idea in the world. Derek Brunson is so strong.
Yeah, and we knew. I mean, even you can say whatever you want in the pressers and how you're going to try to strike, if you're going to strike, but we knew that Brunson had to mix in his takedowns to win this fight.
Yeah, tire him out, wear him down. I mean, physically, Adesanya is not the most imposing guy in the world. He wins by technique and style. Oh, Brunson clipped him with the left hand. Look at that, right back on him.
That's what he's got to do. When there is a separation and he's got to engage, he's got to be quick, throw big strikes, make them count. But man, Adesanya looking great with the defense.
He's got to hurt him here. He's got to hurt him, and he's definitely got to do something to stop this takedown.
Brunson unofficially 0 for 4 on his takedown attempts thus far. Just over 2 minutes here to go in the round.
He's got to discourage these open attacks and takedowns.
And so far, it's the single leg that Brunson's just dropping down because they're in opposite stances, southpaw and orthodox. So Brunson's just got to reach right down there and grab that front leg.
Right hand of Adesanya got Brunson's attention.
There he goes again, but he knew he was all over it that time because it's been 3 attempts now. So Adesanya's aware of it.
He's got to be careful that Adesanya doesn't set him up for a knee as he tries to do that as well. Oh, look at that. Every time, reach with the right, the head comes low.
Brunson's got to use his punches to set that up. Got to throw that straight left. Wow. And we've seen in his highlight that same kick, that lead leg head kick where he kind of does a question mark kick with it, knock a guy out cold. Nice level change there from Brunson, but Adesanya's doing a great job of, even when he gets double underhooks, he stays calm, gets himself against the fence, and gets out of these positions.
Well, for Adesanya, too, this is also a bit of a moral victory because it shows that Derek does not want to stand and strike with him.
Yes.
And all 14 of Derek Brunson's pro finishes have come in round 1, so the stats say he gets less dangerous as the fight goes on.
You know, it's interesting, if you see the way he charged at Robert Whittaker, who's a very dangerous striker, it shows you how much respect he has for Adesanya. I mean, that's really kind of... Oh, he stunned him!
Oh, big left and a right! Now the uppercut in the knee! Brunson is down! Adesanya with another knee! Brunson smiles it. 20 seconds to go in the round.
I don't know, Joe.
Brunson with an elbow.
Oh, he's hurt, man.
Oh, another knockdown. Israel Adesanya knocks Derek Brunson out in round 1.
That's what we were talking about, ladies and gentlemen. That's technique. That's the last style bender, folks.
I think you can say right now, that kid's the truth right now.
100%. That was a big test for him tonight, and he got an A+.
Can we put another plus on there? Because I mean,
you can get A++.
You want to talk about almost a flawless victory that these guys talk about?
Yes. I mean,
the patience when he had him hurt too.
The last style bender appears here to stay. Wow. 15-0 now as a professional in mixed martial arts. A lot of combat sports experience, and he took out one of the division's best here tonight. This replay is brought to you by Nemiroff. Bold character since 1872.
Here comes the big shot. Boom, and that's what we called earlier.
Yep.
We were saying if he keeps reaching in like that, a knee is coming. And he clipped him with that knee and hurt him. And when he did hurt him, he looked for openings. Boom! Catches him coming in, perfectly timed, and immediately separates, gets some space. And then as Derek Brunson moves in, style bender. There's the head kick and the right hand behind it like a whip. I mean, he's just so effortless and fluid. And look how he ducks under that punch. Bink. I mean, the way, bink, left hand, the way he throws those shots. I mean, it's just so technical. It's such a, for a person who's a fan of combat sports, watching a guy like him is a real pleasure.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
And he certainly, as Joe suggested, had Derek Brunson's respect. The approach was to wrestle tonight. Brunson 0 for 8, at least unofficially, on the takedown attempts. Adesanya came in all the rage, and he certainly did nothing to diminish that tonight. The official decision brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Get unlimited high-speed data all month long on the same network as T-Mobile. Here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Herb Dean has called a stop to this contest at 4 minutes, 51 seconds of the very first round. Declaring the winner by TKO, Israel, the last style bender, Adesanya.
I am here with the winner, ladies and gentlemen, the last style bender. This was a big test for you coming in here tonight, and Paul Felder gave you an A++.
That was about a B-. I'll give it myself, but I mean, this is all talk before the fight, Joe. They say, man, he ain't got no wrestling, you know. He saw me fight Brad, said he's light work, but this was like a walk in the park. No. This was a walk in the garden. Madison, baby.
Were you surprised that he immediately went to clinch and tried to take you down?
I expected him to come at me like he did Robert Whittaker when he was all clumsy, or the way he did Anderson Silva and stay patient, but he came out patient, and I forced him to be clumsy. I forced him to shoot. They don't know. I started the game at level 2. They're just loading, so I got in his head, and I got him to start to work and shoot. And my boy Andre, they say he don't have no wrestling. They say no jiu-jitsu, but you soon find out.
You saw some wrestling tonight, folks. Take a look at the big screen and talk us through this. You saw him leaning down, and you timed this knee perfectly.
Andre, was it 2 days ago by accident, he actually put a little force with the takedown, and I heard him with a light knee. And I said, he started healing up today, my wrestling coach. So I said tonight, when I throw it, I'm going 100%. And it worked tonight.
And then once you had him stunned, you picked your moments, you were very patient, but very efficient, and you put him away.
I keep saying, man, I don't throw in hope. I aim and fire, down the barrel.
You passed your test tonight, sir. Welcome to the top 10. What a spectacular victory.
Top five. But I'm just saying, I'm going to sit back, watch the rest of the fights at the middleweight tournament, and then I'll plot slowly.
The last style bender, ladies and gentlemen, Israel Adesanya.
As he says, he just keeps upgrading the hardware and the software. What a performance from Israel Adesanya tonight. That post-fight interview brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. EA Sports UFC 3 is now available in EA Access. Subscribe and play now for $4.99 a month on Xbox One. Pretty remarkable that Israel Adesanya made his UFC debut in February of this year. He's certainly in the running for 2018 Fighter of the Year. And there is the newly minted UFC welterweight, the undefeated Ben Askren. Joe, he's a guy whose cause you have championed. His next fight will be in the Octagon.
And how about the cheers? People already know him. He hasn't even fought in the UFC yet. Yeah, man, I've been trying to get him in here for years. Finally, they wised up.
And we'll see who they will match Ben Askren with in his UFC debut early 2019. Tonight's Locker Room Shots are brought to you by P3, the official protein snack of UFC. Well, things have happened quickly for the American Carl Roberson since his 15-second knockout on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series last summer. The just-turned 28-year-old trains alongside the likes of Corey Anderson, also David Branch, who you will see compete later tonight. And here Roberson trying to take advantage of the pay-per-view spotlight against a fellow hopeful from South Wales, Jack Marshall. The Hammer taking part in his 30th pro MMA fight tonight will try to lean on his experience to produce the biggest win of his career to date. UFC 230, Cormier versus Lewis, is brought to you by Modelo Especial. Since 1925, we've proved that it doesn't matter where you come from, it matters what you're made of. Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit. By Metro by T-Mobile. Get unlimited high-speed data all month long on the same network as T-Mobile. By P3, the official protein snack of UFC. And by EA Sports UFC 3. Now available in EA Access. Subscribe and play now for $4.99 a month on Xbox One. The main event fighter arrivals are brought to you by Harley Davidson. When you fire up an HD motorcycle, adrenaline kicks in and refuses to tap out. Check it out at h-d.com/explore. And there he is, the UFC's reigning, defending, undisputed two-division champion, Daniel Cormier. A man for whom much has changed since his sport-altering win to take the heavyweight title just 4 months ago. DC is now widely recognized as one of the best to ever do it. And he puts that status and his new belt on the line this evening against the also Louisiana-born Derrick Lewis. Now repping Houston, Texas, the Black Beast has vaulted into superstardom courtesy of a big win on a big show just 28 days ago. It was his 9th win in 10 fights, and it positioned the wildly popular Lewis for this first crack at UFC Gold.
The Long View of History is a series of short stories, pieces of a puzzle that, assembled, help us understand it all.
Think about this. 3 guys just bought the UFC. We didn't know anything about promoting fights.
We finally got through and we owned it. I think we all looked at each other and said, oh my gosh, what do we do now?
Donald Trump and Dana are an interesting match. They're aggressive guys who aren't afraid to take chances.
How do you overcome bullying? You don't really overcome bullying. You will overcome them by changing, not them, by changing yourself.
We get this stereotype of that we are only this one-sided, brand, but really there's so much more to it.
People want to see women who are badasses. They want to, and they want to see women in conflict. They pay for it.
UFC 25 Years in Short, premiering only on UFC Fight Pass.
If you beat the man, you are the man.
I've never been more excited for a fight. I can't wait!
Woo! Here we are. We will all witness a piece of UFC history tonight. Welcome to the Sugar Show.
This is what you want when you're looking at a young prospect. Oh! This dude is so good.
Spinning attack from O'Malley.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing.
There it is! The Black Beast has done it. Where's Daniel Cormier at? Well, of course, later tonight, it'll be the UFC Heavyweight Championship showdown between Daniel Cormier and Derrick Lewis. What's coming up? Brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Get up to 60% off until November 5th. Play as your favorite UFC superstars in the most complete MMA game ever. EA Sports UFC 3, available on Xbox One and PS4. Well, tonight, pretty cool. Each fighter making their way to the Octagon in the limited edition UFC 25th anniversary Reebok Classic footwear. The UFC was born in 1993, so Reebok made 1,993 pairs of this exclusive model that pays homage to 25 classic years in the UFC. Limited pairs are still available right now at UFCstore.com. All right, now back to the live action in the, you guessed it, UFC middleweight division. Known as a deadly striker, Carl Roberson's first UFC win came via submission. But Jack Marshman is a finisher too. He's prepared for all disciplines as he tries to spring the upset on the road. Both men possess the ability to end fights on the feet or the ground. And on a card featuring a host of the middleweight division's best, there is no better time for Carl Roberson and Jack Marshman to declare their intent to chase down the elite, and sooner rather than later.
My thoughts on fighting Carl Roberson is, I'm going to have the better stand-up, which is his strongest area, so I feel confident that I'm going to get in there and get a KO.
I'm going to go out there and I'm going to dominate and show the world who I am. It's my coming out party.
Welsh action hero Jack Marshman has paid his dues in the fight game since his pro debut in 2010. And after putting 4 UFC fights in the bank, the Hammer is ready to take his career to a new level. To that end, with a win over Carl Roberson tonight, he'll be looking at a very interesting 2019.
I feel like I got loads of potential. I don't think there's anyone in the division that can fight me and call it an easy night. So I'm confident that if you're coming in to fight me, you're going to have a tough night. So I'm ready for it.
Carl Roberson first made his name in combat sports as a kickboxer, but his transition to MMA has taken him to new heights with 6 wins, including a 15-second knockout of Ryan Spann and a submission of Darren Stewart, that have him eager to see just how far he can take it.
It's important to be well-rounded because I'm fighting an experienced opponent. He's just seeing everything, so I got to show him some stuff he hasn't seen yet.
Well, what an opportunity in front of Jack Marshman here tonight as he makes his 5th UFC appearance. He was the first Welsh fighter to sign a UFC contract. Brett Johns actually competed first inside the Octagon, but here is Marshman. A lot of pro experience, 22-7, very durable guy, a lot of different finishing skills. A huge one in front of him here, Joe.
Yeah, an absolutely huge one in front of him, and he's faced some tough guys. Fought Thiago Santos earlier in his career, and you know, Thiago's obviously one of the more dangerous and scary guys in this division. Lost to him, but what we saw from him, he's a very tough guy. He's got very good stand-up. He's very aggressive, and as he said, very durable. As he said in the pre-fight video, he's not an easy fight for anybody.
Yeah, he's going to make sure you're in that fight. He's going to land punches. He's got very crisp boxing, and he's aggressive, but we've seen where his problems are when he hits the ground. He doesn't have a very strong jiu-jitsu game. He's been submitted by, but you got submitted by Antonio Carlos Jr., who, well, let's be honest, anybody can get submitted by that guy. So that shouldn't be something he should deter from too much. But he's got to try to keep this in boxing range, which is a dangerous place to keep that with Robertson. So I'm interested to see how Marshman approaches this fight, fighting somebody that's a very good kickboxer.
Yeah, Robertson is a glory veteran. He's got a lot of kickboxing under his belt, and this should be a wild fight for as long as it lasts.
Yeah, and I think it's exactly that, Joe. I think the way both of these guys fight, somebody's getting taken out.
Marshman is trained under Richard Shaky Shore Artillery Combat from day one, and on a night that will belong to the middleweights by and large, Jack Marshman, the guy nobody's talking about, maybe they'll be talking about him at night's end. So here is Carl Robertson making his 3rd UFC appearance. And Paul, after what he did on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, the 15-second knockout with the short elbows, everyone was talking about Robertson. Another big spot for the young man here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we saw, that person that he knocked out went on to do great things on the Contender Series again when he came back, when they brought him back. Ryan Spann. So we can just see the talent that Robertson has. He was defending a takedown and used his elbows to get his opponent knocked out cold and get out of there. And a beautiful display of his well-roundedness in his debut when he choked out Darren Stewart with a rear naked choke. Had a setback of his own in his last fight, but he's been working with Corey Anderson, Brian Wright. He's got the right trainer, Dante Rivera in his corner. There's Corey Anderson right there. So he's definitely put himself in the right people and the right training camps to really exceed in the middleweight division in the UFC. Very determined, very physical, athletic, and strong young man. And on top of that, the kickboxing pedigree. This guy has been to war with some of the best kickboxers in the world.
Yeah, that is his real forte, and that's one of the things that I think makes this fight the most interesting. Is Robertson has some nasty kickboxing skills. And with Marshman being a stand-up fighter, I just think this is going to be guns blazing.
Robertson, a New Jersey guy, as such, very excited to fight at Madison Square Garden here tonight. He said he felt like this walk would feel different, but he really was going to try to enjoy the overall experience. Big learning lesson his last time out against Mutanchi. Said that setback sort of forced him to adjust his mindset. But this is one tough customer, big, strong guy for this middleweight division, and he will try to maximize this pay-per-view showcase here tonight. This tale of the tape is brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. A couple of 28-year-olds here. Carl Robertson, the American, the taller man by 1 inch. He will also have a 1-inch reach advantage. All right, now for the introductions. Back inside the Octagon to Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the UFC middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist holding a professional record, 22 wins, 7 losses. He stands 6 feet tall, weighing in at 185 1/2 pounds. Fighting out of Abertillery, South Wales, Jack the Hammer Marshman. And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a kickboxer holding a professional record, 6 wins, 1 loss. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighing in at 184 1/2 pounds. Fighting out of Neptune, New Jersey, Carl Baby K. Robertson. And when the action begins, our referee in charge, Yves Leving.
Yves Levine, a busy man tonight. Same can be said for Chrissy Blair. Thank you, Chrissy. Carl Robertson, Jack Marshman. If you watch Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, you know the story on Robertson. Nearly succumbed to gang violence, lost 2 friends at 18 years old. Now he's the guy visiting schools and troubled teens. Tonight's Fight Clock brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit. Since 1925, the Glory kickboxing veteran Robertson in black, Jack Marshman in white.
And you see right away, opens with a hard kicks to the arms. Marshman fights out of that southpaw stance, heavy left leg. Big power in his kicks and punches, and very technical.
And he looks great. Like, I know I've seen him fight before, but he said his weight cut was very good this time. Ooh, nice left hand. Didn't have any issues, and it shows in there. He looks to be in tremendous shape. Also gave a big shout out to Nick Catone and his gym and all those guys over there, man. And you know, Nick Catone, a UFC veteran's got a beautiful gym in New Jersey and got some absolute monsters training over there.
And you see he's ducking the punches of Marshman, slipping out of way of him, landing shots of his own.
And when I talked to Robertson, he really said he wanted to be able to test the ground skills of Marshman, thinking that was definitely an advantage that he was going to have in this fight.
But
when you do that.
Yeah, he's got a big advantage standing up. I mean, you can see it right away. Marshman, who's primarily a puncher, he's moving forward, but he's dealing with the length. He's dealing with that big left power kick.
Oh, look at that counter.
Left hand, that's beautiful.
And that's the difference, Joe. When you're fighting somebody who's primarily got a boxing skill set.
Oh, my goodness.
Even if they're a power puncher and are dangerous, if you're also just as good as a kickboxer, you have more weapons. You have more ways that you can come at them and distract them.
Oh, man. He also has a decided speed advantage. Oh, my goodness.
He just missed with that left.
He looks so good tonight.
Strong start for Carl Robertson. His first pro fight went 3 4-minute rounds. The last 6 have ended in round 1. Perhaps Marshman can try to extend Carl Robertson tonight, but an outstanding start for the favorite.
Well, Marshman's having a hard time figuring out how to close the distance. He's tentative, trying to figure out how to get past those big shots, and he understands, because they've already had some exchanges, that there's a speed difference.
Yeah, absolutely. You could just there. I was waiting for that body kick. Man, beautiful head movement. Because he knows what Marshman is going to counter back with, right? No matter what Robertson throws, he knows that Jack is going to come back with some kind of punch counter. So he's able to slip out of the way. If Marshman could mix in more techniques, a knee, elbow,
Another big left from Robertson, now a knee.
He's hurt. Marshman is tough as nails. He clipped him with that punch. He hit him with that right hand.
Hey, he said in the pre-fight, he said, anybody that gets in there is not going to have an easy night, no matter who they are or how good they are.
He wasn't blind to the fact that he was going to have to lean on the chin. It's held up thus far. Less than 2 minutes now to go round 1.
Certainly not a kicker based on that one. You don't want to do that with a guy like Carl Robertson. You leave that kick out there with no setup, you are going to get countered.
Light heavyweight contender Corey Anderson in the corner of Carl Robertson, as is his longtime chief corner Brian Wright.
Yeah, I've talked to Brian Wright many times before, and he's got so much confidence in his pupil here in Carl Robertson, and justly so. When you take a look at him tonight, he looks sharp. His counters are on point. He can hit you with kicks, punches.
He can switch stances as well.
And we've seen him, if he wants to take this fight to the ground, especially in this particular matchup, he's got submission skills. See how as soon as he misses a punch, he doesn't hang out there for the counter. He moves off angles. He gets out of the way. He uses head movement.
Yeah, very, very well trained.
But Marshman still moving forward and looking for punches. He's always in this fight, and if he touches you, you're going to know it.
Well, he certainly caught him with one right hand in that exchange, and it settled Robertson down. Ooh.
That one caught him on the elbow, though. Doesn't feel good for either guy. There you go, Marshman, some movement there.
Trying to advance.
Nice, nice
good
combination.
Left to the body and a right over the top by Marshman.
Nice job by Marshman as Robertson tried to switch the stances, landed some offense.
Well, perhaps Robertson is slowing down. If Robertson's slowing down at the end of the first round, that might be a trend.
And Marshman's been in wars. This is nothing new to him. He's going to go back to his corner. And
Tonight's Corner Cam brought to you by Body Armor. Switch to Body Armor, the more natural, better sports drink. Grab one today at Circle K. Body Armor, the official sports drink of UFC.
He's frustrating him because he's stepping out. He's planned all along, step outside that lead leg. He's getting frustrated now and he's starting to throw, and this is where he's starting to pick your shots with him. And I promise you now, his pace has dropped in the last 2 minutes, right? Trust me now from watching outside. Just keep doing the same thing, step outside, throw the jab, throw the left hook, and we're going to land it.
Listen, now, throw some more feet a little bit more, and make you land outside that.
all right.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Let's take a look at this beautiful left hand. Wow, Marshman has a chin. That was square on the jaw. And here's that body kick. Now, if that looked good there, let's take a listen to how that actually sounded live.
Oh! Like a meat drum.
And again, Marshman took that.
Marshman took it and then landed a right hand in that exchange
And actually,
as well.
it looked like he staggered Robertson a little bit.
Back Robertson off.
But it would appear that Richard Shore in Jack Marshman's corner is onto something. They feel like if they can extend Robertson.
Yes, absolutely.
You understood that?
I know, we need the English subtitles for English.
I feel like I'm watching Snatch.
Yeah. A lot of up and down movement here from Robertson, trying to keep Marshman guessing, not knowing where he's going, level changing, shooting.
Oh, nice straight left.
Beautifully splits the guard, does Robertson.
Look at that, a nice little body kick there from Marshman. That's what he's got to do. It's just,
and Robertson, he was upset at himself.
Just threw like a 7-punch combo there from Marshman.
Yeah, and that's what he needs. And maybe Robertson is slowing down a little bit.
Oh, he's limping, Joe. Was that a limp? Did you see that?
It's hard to tell.
You think it's from maybe that body kick that he landed, hit him right on the elbow. The first one landed square on the body, but he threw another one. He's switching stances now, too.
You might be right. There might be something going on with his left foot.
Let's take a look. Let's see.
Oh, beautiful left hand.
Marshman there.
Not affecting his knuckles, however.
Marshman just missed with the counter. A minute gone by round 2. Marshman rips the body now.
Paul, you might have noticed something. I mean, I think he's hiding it really well, but I think you might be onto something.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch how he's stepping. He's stepping funny.
Yeah, on the left foot. Let's see if he throws any left kicks.
And now I can't stop looking at that. I gotta try to. But so far, no kicks.
Robertson doing a nice job defensively. Now some more offense.
But as we know, that doesn't necessarily mean he's not dealing with. Oh, man.
Yeah, you threw that right hand a bunch of times after you broke it against Mike Perry. Oh, Marshman with a right hand over the top.
Yeah, Marshman is in this fight, man, for sure. He's got a little cut under the eye, but that shouldn't bother him at all.
Marshman's the kind of guy who likes these kind of fights, too.
He needs to get hit. He needs to make it a little dirty, a little ugly. And he knows that. As long as you're a fighter and you understand that, and you got a chin, you don't want to necessarily rely on it, but you know that you can eat a shot to give a couple more back. And we saw by that combo, he's willing to take, okay, you want to throw a 1-2 at me, I'm going to throw 6 pieces at you.
Marshman's got fast hands. He's worked the body pretty effectively at times in past fights.
That was a nice liver shot that he threw there earlier, and he came with the overhand right after it.
Yeah, he's not being... Well, there you go, left, right. Look, he's swinging. Oh, he got clipped there. Robertson with a nice counter left. Oh!
Beautiful.
Big takedown. Big.
That was nice. Very nice there.
Von Flue choke, perhaps.
Yeah, does he know? Oh, he kind of pulled his head out of it. I think instinctually sometimes guys just want to get, you know what I mean? Because even when you do the Von Flue choke, you're not getting choked, but if you're gasping for air a little bit, even when you're putting on the choke, it's still like it almost makes me claustrophobic a little bit.
While you're applying.
While I'm applying, even though I'm not really getting choked. I think that was an intelligent move there, especially if there is something wrong with his foot. I could be totally wrong about that, though.
Yeah, it could easily just be switching the tempo, the way he moves. But he definitely did kick that elbow.
Yeah, he certainly did.
And Marshman capturing that leg, trying to reclaim half guard.
Yeah, this was just as Marshman was getting a little bit of confidence, landing some good combos. Robertson said no, and beautiful level change. Picked him up with that double leg, too.
We hear fighters so often say they learn more from losses than wins. And in his last fight against Mutanchi forced him to evolve. Working on the takedown here, pretty efficient with the ground strikes thus far.
I feel like that's just something we say to make ourselves happier.
Yeah?
I'm pretty pissed off when I lose. You know what I learned about my fight with Mike Perry? Don't lose again and don't break your arm again. Let's just go get another win. And maybe don't throw spinning back fists after you've already broken your arm.
That's refreshingly honest. I like that Robertson took him down. I like that he's got him here in side control. I don't like that he's not advancing.
Yes.
I want him to do more. Because I feel like he's got a decided advantage on the ground.
Yeah, he could have. I think he could have mounted whenever he wanted, Joe.
Or he could have at least attempted it.
And that could have forced Marshman to make a mistake, turn a bad way, give up an arm, who knows.
2 rounds in the can. Tonight's Corner Cam is brought to you by Body Armor. Switch to Body Armor, the more natural, better sports drink. Grab one today at Circle K. Body Armor, the official sports drink of UFC.
Okay, take a deep breath. How we feeling? Good. All right. So if you pull him out and you can work your counter, okay? We're not throwing long enough on our shots, our punches, and your feet are sitting still. It's a beautiful takedown. You won the round. You're doing good.
Leg up.
Okay, but every time he touches, you got to hit it.
Let's go.
All right, so every time he touches your leg, I need you to hit him, okay? Listen to Dante.
Oh, listen, if you get him down in your side control, stay chest to chest. Don't just look to pin it when you hit with your shin. Step over the arm and trap it.
That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, slide it through, all right?
Between my legs?
Yep, yes, and then you hook the leg. Hook your top leg underneath the arm. Then you can pop trouble at an elbow.
Yo-yo him. Put the
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Felder, always the
him.
predator, saw weakness, called it out. You saw it. He said, I messed my leg up, and he didn't use the word messed.
No bonuses for commentators, but that's good stuff out of you, Paul. It's always interesting, too, in this digital age, right, that does Jack Marshman get the message that there's maybe an injury, you know?
I know, I never thought about that until somebody said that to me, that they actually knew a fighter that somebody at home was watching the pay-per-views or the fight, and would text or call and say, hey, his left hand is broken, his arm is broken, or something. It's crazy.
Well, he's doing a great job, especially now, of camouflaging it.
But see how it's the way he stands on it. It's very ginger. He's kind of like barely putting all his weight on it.
There's a little bit of stiffness to it as well.
And it kind of is the way it's,
he threw it anyway.
I love it.
Owie.
I love it.
Especially in contrast to the way he was moving in the beginning of the first round.
He was really moving up and down, kind of
lightning fast. Oh, low! Thought about it, said, I don't want to feel it. I want to feel that sting.
Fight fans, check out the UFC store on your mobile device. Get your favorite fighter gear and more. Shop now and receive 15% off during tonight's fight. Use code UFC230 and start saving today. A minute plus gone by here in this third and final round. Marshman has eaten a ton of big left hands from Robertson.
Oh, man, he threw it again. But he's not throwing it with the same kind of heat.
Not at all. We saw him earlier in this fight throw that same head kick, and it was lightning fast and powerful. He threw that one up there. Okay, let me let you know that this is there, but he's definitely being very...
Oh, man!
Wow!
Marshman can take a shot.
My God, right? I mean, that was a beautiful counter left, and he ate it. Spitting blood everywhere.
Guy barely flinches.
Man,
there's some guys that just, for whatever reason, they could take it. But he's got a ton of blood coming out of his mouth now. That just sprayed all over Paul Felder. He picked up his own mouthpiece.
Said, I got
savage.
it. I don't need to rinse it off.
Threw it again.
I'm very curious to see what he hurt as well. You know, is it the shin? Did he hurt his foot? Because for me,
I think it's his instep, if I had to guess.
That's usually what is get hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You land right on that elbow, and it's
a horrible feeling.
Oh, it's so bad.
Beautiful shot and land by Robertson.
No resistance there. Marshman just really didn't have the hips for that.
And he got away with a couple fence grabs with the toes there. This is now the longest fight of Carl Roberson's pro career. But largely the cardio's held up.
Well, he hasn't really been threatened. I mean, Marshman's hit him with some good shots and some exchanges, but he's never pressured him.
And here, I think this is where Robertson can really try to take advantage. Try to ground him out. He's up against the fence. Just throw knee on belly and make Marshman pick a side. Once you put that knee on the belly, he's only got the fence to turn into or you. Obviously, easier said than done when you're in there. You got an injury. So I'm not taking anything away from Robertson.
Some good elbows there by Robertson.
Looking for a key lock.
When was the last time we saw an Americana?
Yeah, right.
That might be like one of the rarest submissions in modern MMA. Kind of strange if you think about it. We used to have it all the time back in the old days.
Yeah, guys, just the defense when it comes to submissions now. Guys don't feel like a fish out of water down there anymore.
Well, you still see Kimuras, but you just, oh, there you go, full mount.
All
right.
Let it go. If I'm Robertson and I'm his corner, I'm saying posture up. I would try to posture up and turn him towards the fence. This way, he's got no out.
Yeah.
Because here he can at least bridge. Marshman can bridge away from the fence and maybe end up in the guard, maybe just end up in a scramble. But if Robertson can slow, he's actually rotating him the other way, giving him the fence to push off of. I'd be trying to rotate him towards the fence.
I think he doesn't recognize that. I think he thinks that he doesn't want him to get up against the fence and may have the opportunity to
right,
wall
and that is a problem when a guy's in a different position. But from mount, you're on top of him. To get to the wall, he's got to first escape the mount.
Oh, there's a good left hand by Robertson.
15 seconds, Jack. 15, hold on there, son. Tighten up.
Robertson looking to put the finishing touches here on what would be his second UFC win.
Good elbow.
Right, let's go.
Well, he certainly got the better of the striking. When he did go to the takedown, it was there for Robertson. Enjoying the moment here inside Madison Square Garden for the New Jersey native. A big night for him. Let's take a look back at his handiwork. This replay brought to you by Nemiroff, bold character since 1872.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can just see the counter left hand ability of Robertson. It was lightning fast, and he landed it over and over and over again in this fight. Every time Marshman tried to step forward, he countered. And here, just as he starts to dominate on the feet, and Marshman gets comfortable, he hits him with a beautiful double leg. That was the second of his fight, and both of them launched Marshman into the air, into side control, ended the fight in mount. Beautiful performance, even with a possible injury on his left leg. Great job, Carl Robertson.
So for the first time in the UFC, Robertson forced to go the full 15 minutes. And I guess when you're training every day with Corey Anderson, the work ethic, the conditioning rubs off. Joe mentioned Robertson not necessarily tested, but the defense held up. He avoided 76% of the strikes that came his way from Marshman. Good effort out of Carl Robertson here tonight. The official decision brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Get unlimited high-speed data all month long on the same network as T-Mobile. All right, with the scorecards, we turn it over to Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. The judges score the contest 30-26, 30-26, and 30-27 for the winner by unanimous decision, Carl Baby K. Robertson.
I'm here with the winner, Carl Robertson. First of all, Carl, congratulations on an excellent victory. You look sensational coming out of the gate, but something happened to your leg
Paul Felder actually called it. He said it looked like you were limping a little bit. When was that and what happened?
I had a little knee injury from wrestling. And, you know, Paul, he's a kickboxer, so he can realize something early. So once he kicked me the first time, I'm like, nah, we're not going to do too much more of that. So,
which leg was it?
My right leg. But we fighters, we adapt in situations. So the best of the best, you got to adapt when shit hurts.
You hit Marshman with some clean, hard shots, and he kept coming. Were you surprised that he was able to absorb those?
Not at all. I watched his fights. I know he's a down, gritty, and tough guy. And I was expecting him to stand there and just take it if he had to. So I was going to give him everything he wanted.
Well, you gave him everything he wanted, and your takedowns were also a key to victory in this fight. And coming from a guy, really, I mean, you're known as a kickboxer as much as anything. That was another showing a big new aspect of your game.
Yeah, man, I've been working with one of the best in the game, Corey Anderson. He got some of the most takedowns in his division. You train with him long enough, you're going to take some of his skills. And I showed it tonight. I'm an all-around fighter. I'm dangerous, man.
You're definitely dangerous, sir, and congratulations on your victory. Look forward to seeing you again. Carl Robertson, ladies and gentlemen.
So Carl Robertson now 7 up and 1 down as a pro in mixed martial arts. Perhaps he'll have a name or a number next to his name next week.
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit for this kid. If he keeps working his wrestling with guys like Corey Anderson and all the guys in Jersey, keeps that kickboxing pedigree that he's got. The counter ability, of Robertson is lightning fast. And as a middleweight, incredible.
Certainly one of the more intriguing prospects to come off of Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Not prospects there. The former champion Frankie Edgar, the current UFC Women's Featherweight Queen, Chris Cyborg. All the UFC stars are out tonight. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and the King of Rio, former UFC Featherweight Champion Jose Aldo. All right, coming up next from New York City, big spot for the Bronx-born David Branch as he tries to keep his name in title contention. What's coming up? Brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3, now available in EA Access. Subscribe and play now for $4.99 a month on Xbox One. Well, there is little argument at present as to who are the 2 best featherweights in the world. And on December 8th in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, they will lock the door behind them.
Octagon's just another guy. People keep saying you're fighting an undefeated guy, you know how you beat him. I want to know every fight.
Max Holloway is the undisputed UFC featherweight champion. Hawaii, stand up.
You're fighting for the belt. How does it all feel?
Feels like all my work has finally put me here to get my crack at the shot.
Oh! Knockdown for Ortega!
We went through the division, and now he's champ, and I'm ranked 1. And there's nowhere to go no more. He has to defend, and I have to fight for the belt.
Phenomenal opportunity for this spectacular, young, promising prospect.
We here, we live in effect, and guess what? July 7th is gonna keep on rolling.
UFC featherweight champ Max Holloway will not fight this weekend with concussion-like symptoms.
He went through a bunch of tests at the hospital, and they thought he was fine. Then, you know, he did that interview with Michael Bisping.
But you look like you just got out of bed. You look a little sleepy.
I'll be fine, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to go out there and do that.
Good to know. As I say, no offense, but you just look like, you know, you're ready to fall asleep on me there.
There's no way that this guy's gonna fight anytime soon.
There's years in the game who hear things, you know, and yeah, it's true. We got the call, and they offered us to fight in December.
I guess it's time to be that guy for the next generation to be like, come and catch me. I'm setting the bar. I dare you to beat me. I dare you. Come get me.
Holloway looking to finish it. It's all over.
When you have 2 guys who go for it, we go out there, we put it on the line.
Huge knee by Ortega.
There's gonna be some hell that's gonna break loose.
Oh! Knockdown for Ortega! T-City!
Good luck, friends, but the blessed are gonna be in full effect for a very long time.
Can't wait for that. These UFC featherweight rankings brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Get up to 60% off until November 5th. Play as your favorite UFC superstars in the most complete MMA game ever. EA Sports UFC 3 available on Xbox One and PS4. So, Joe, here are your featherweight rankings 1 through 5. Holloway's won 12 in a row. Brian Ortega has never lost. Something's got to give December 8th.
Yeah, I mean, you see a bunch of veterans on there, and Renato Moicano, who's a new up-and-rising guy, but that's the fight. The fight is Holloway. And when you look at Ortega and Holloway, you're looking at a guy who's just this phenomenal champion who has this unbelievable cardio and confidence. And in Ortega, you got some of the nastiest, slickest jiu-jitsu I have ever seen in all my years of calling MMA. I mean, this guy is straight from the Gracie Academy.
Right.
I mean, he is like textbook, classic fundamentals of jiu-jitsu. His squeeze is incredible. And he's got real good boxing. We saw that with Frankie Edgar, stops him with an uppercut.
Right.
I mean, the kid is nasty and he's undefeated, but Max Holloway has a way of breaking people. We saw it in the Aldo fight. His confidence and his cardio, his experience, his understanding of distance and when to close in and when to pressure people. I mean, he is a real top-flight champion, and this is what you really look forward to. You look forward to these young, up-and-coming, undefeated prospects with so much potential fighting a guy like Holloway in his prime.
It's about as good as it gets. Very close fight according to Las Vegas and part of a championship doubleheader when we return to pay-per-view next month in Toronto. Among the prelim highlights that night, which you can see on FS1, Elias Theodoro taking on your boy Eric Anders. Also a flyweight title eliminator of sorts for the women, Caitlin Chukagian taking on Jessica I. Gunnar Nelson also returning against Alex Cowboy Oliveira in the featured prelim on FS1. Well, UFC Fight Pass is bringing you live events every weekend and brand new shorts throughout this month. Watch for new episodes of UFC 25 Years in Short each week. Also, November 24th, heavyweight contenders will try to state their case for a title shot. Curtis Blades to face Francis Ngannou in a rematch. That's your main event at UFC Fight Night Beijing. It is exclusively on UFC Fight Pass. UFC 230, Cormier versus Lewis, is presented by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. All right, right back to the live action now. Another big one at 185 pounds. And already a winner at heavyweight and light heavyweight in the UFC, Jared Cannonier now joins the short list of fighters to compete in 3 divisions. He moves down to face contender David Branch. As MMA has evolved, being prepared for anything that can happen in the Octagon is essential. So while David Branch is a proud owner of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt against veteran power hitter Jared Cannonier, he may just have to show off his underrated striking game as well.
I think David is a tough opponent. I'm excited to fight him and get up on that stage and show the world what I can do.
Tonight I'm going to go out and get my job done, and I'm going to do it well.
Whether at heavyweight or light heavyweight, Jared Cannonier has shown the power and aggressive style to end any opponent's night in a hurry. Tonight, the Killer Gorilla begins his quest for middleweight gold, and he can make an immediate impact should he defeat contender David Branch.
This is the fight people are going to be talking about because I'm the guy that people need to be talking about. I'm an exciting fighter, and I come in to really put on a show.
After a 6-year UFC absence, New York's own David Branch made a triumphant return to the Octagon in 2017 with a win over Krzysztof Jotko. And after a blistering knockout of Thiago Santos in April, Branch is on target for his goal to get to the top of the division in 2019.
Being well-rounded is going to be very important in this fight because Jared is a tough opponent. He fought at heavyweight, light heavyweight, so I'm going to have to be very tricky. I'm a fox, you know, so I'm going to have to use all my tricks, all my traps, and I'm going to have to be very cunning.
Well, the Killer Gorilla Jared Cannonier has already lost the t-shirt. He wants to show off the new frame at 184.8 pounds. He moved his entire family to Arizona, trains under John Crouch, Eddie Cha at the MMA lab there in Glendale. And he makes his 8th UFC appearance here tonight. And Joe, he's looking to show the world that he is more than just a striker. We'll see how it goes tonight against David Branch.
I mean, it's crazy. We saw him at heavyweight. We saw him at light heavyweight. And look at him now. He is shredded. I mean, this really is the weight class that's perfect for his frame. And training at the lab, down in Arizona, I mean, you know that man is well trained and they've prepared well for this fight. It's a very difficult fight. David Branch is incredibly well-rounded, and he possesses a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which may be a big factor in this fight, because Cannonier, one of the fights we saw him in was against Glover Teixeira, and Glover really kind of exposed his limited ground game. Now, that was a couple of years ago. He's had a chance to improve and grow. Well, it wasn't even a couple years ago. It's February of 2017. But that is a big area of expertise when it comes to David Branch.
Yeah, you don't want to mix it on the ground with David Branch unless you're feeling confident down there. But hey, I'll tell you what, Jared Cannonier seems to know something we don't know, because he's loose, he's relaxed, coming out without the t-shirt on. He's loving this new weight class at 185, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And he seems to be excited to get in there, man. So if he can keep it on the feet, he's explosive, he's powerful, and he's shown recently he does have some ability to get back up to his feet if he gets taken down.
I think he just peed on the wall.
A page out of Israel Adesanya's book, sort of, peeing like a dog before entering the octagon. Underrated but undeterred. Here is one determined individual, the number 7 ranked middleweight in the world, David Branch. Also his 8th UFC appearance here tonight. And there was some disappointment, Joe, when the Jacare Souza fight went away and Jacare was moved to the co-main event to fight Chris Weidman. But for David Branch, still an opportunity in front of a big audience to prove that he is one of the best middleweights on the planet.
Well, he looked absolutely fantastic in his rebound fight against Thiago Santos after he lost to Luke Rockhold. And we got to remember that he had Luke Rockhold in trouble in that fight. He had him staggered and hurt. But Luke Rockhold, like the champion that he is, came back, got him on the ground, and smashed him. And that was a learning experience for David Branch. He tired in that fight, and he went back to the drawing board to work harder.
This fighter description is brought to you by P3, the official protein snack of UFC, Mr. Felder.
Yeah, in that fight, you saw him get a little broken. He actually tapped out to strikes in that fight. And what he said was, like, he knew he wasn't going to get out of that position. He just decided, like, I'm not going to take any more unnecessary damage. And that's the kind of guy David Branch is. He seems to be a very intelligent guy. If he knows he's not going to get out of that position, he's going to live to see another day, is his whole mindset. But I think that's something he's got to worry about against a power hitter like Cannonier. You don't want to get on the bottom of him and just let him smash you.
The question is, does Cannonier have the ground skills or the wrestling skills to take him to the ground? And can John Crouch and all those wizards down in Glendale, Arizona, can they school him enough to prepare him for a guy that has the ground game of David Branch?
Branch got cut from the UFC back in 2011. 6 years out of the Octagon. He goes 12-1. Only lost by decision to Anthony Rumble Johnson. Won 2 major titles in 2 divisions. Defended both of them. And now David Branch chasing down the ultimate goal, which is a UFC championship. This tale of the tape brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. David Branch, born in 1981. Jared Cannonier, 3 years his junior, 34 years old. Branch the taller man by 2 inches. You see Cannonier making weight successfully for his UFC middleweight debut. Half-inch reach advantage out of the red corner with David Branch. All right, now back inside to the venerable Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the UFC middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist holding a professional record, 10 wins, 4 losses. He stands 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing in at 184 1/2 pounds. Fighting out of Glendale, Arizona, presenting Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier. And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist holding a professional record, 22 wins, 4 losses. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighing in at 185 1/2 pounds. Fighting out of Brooklyn, New York, presenting the number 7 ranked middleweight contender in the world, David Branch. And when the action begins, our referee in charge, Keith Peterson.
One of the best in the business, Keith Peterson, our referee. Jared Cannonier has really handled himself during this fight week as if he knows something that we don't. He said, if they think that I have no grappling, you're in for a rude awakening. Certainly working with John Crouch and everybody else in Arizona every day has sharpened his tools in that area. Let's see how it goes for Cannonier here tonight. Tonight's Fight Clock brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925.
Nasty leg kick right away by Cannonier. And you got to remember, this guy's been fighting way bigger people all of his career. But David Branch has also fought bigger people. Look at that. Immediately takes him down.
Beautiful job there. Branch wasting no time. He knows where he has advantages.
He's going to the back. Cannonier defends. Very nicely done. Oh, elbows. Boom. Down again. Branch trying to transition to the back.
Couple high amplitude takedowns out of David Branch early.
Oh, wow.
Nice job there from Cannonier. Stays on his feet.
Yeah, he really did a great job, especially defending that butterfly from the back.
Yeah, Branch had to bail on that, otherwise he would have pulled him on top of him. Ooh, nice knee to the body there.
Hard shots by Cannonier.
Cannonier was training for a fight against Alessio de Chirico 2 weeks from now in Argentina. Was happy to abbreviate his training camp and enter this high-profile slot tonight.
Well, they're exchanging hard jabs here in the center. Nice by David Branch.
I think Cannonier needs to go right back to that leg kick. David Branch drops that level. Another takedown.
This time he's tying up that right leg. See if Cannonier can pull it under him. He does. Nicely done by Cannonier. But David Branch is taking that back. He's got over-under now.
Looked like Cannonier registered some sort of complaint to the referee.
He's trying to get around that back. He's going to grab that wrist. That's a bad position to be in. Unable to really defend yourself.
He keeps complaining. He's complained again. David Branch is making him carry his weight now.
I wonder if he's saying that he's maybe grabbing the inside of his glove or something. I mean, that seems to be the only thing that he could be complaining about in that position.
Yeah, I agree with you.
See Cannonier repeatedly looking to his corner for advice defensively here.
Cannonier's almost up. Yeah, he's up. But Branch is behind him still.
You can tell he's definitely been working on that, getting back up to his feet.
And again, we remember that Cannonier's been fighting way bigger
heavier guys, yeah.
And he is jacked. I mean, look at the build on this guy at 185.
Where's those leg kicks at, though?
Probably worried about being taken down.
Yeah,
right?
I guess you're right. But if he can get Branch worried about that jab, he's got a nice jab and he's displayed it already. Get him thinking punches.
Yeah, and that leg kick is thunder.
Under 2 minutes here to go, round one. Cannonier, 34 years old, but short on the MMA miles. Feels like he's still a couple years away from his fighting prime. Another entry from Branch, nothing doing there.
Yeah, that was a little slower from Branch, but he's using that jab really well too, and just staying on the outside, getting Cannonier worried about some punches, worried about a little bit of punches and strikes, and then boom, he drops his level and goes right underneath for the takedown.
David Branch, brother of former junior middleweight boxing contender Saku Powell, has improved his boxing tremendously over the last 5 years.
Good leg kick there by Branch.
Good shot there.
A little slower there, though.
Yeah, it's getting a little slower, but he's got his hands locked under the butt here.
Right in front of us, and he gets him down. Cannonier immediately tries to hit the switch. And right back up to his feet. So a lot of effort put in by Branch to get him to the ground with very little results in terms of damage done.
Yeah, I would say that's what, 3 or 4 successful takedowns, but not able to keep it there for very long in any of those occasions.
Yeah, and that shows that Cannonier has indeed improved. Because again, that was a big factor in his loss to Glover Teixeira.
Now
big
he's pressuring forward.
Big shots by Cannonier. Dangerous.
Branch able to shake that one off, but Cannonier had forced him to retreat there for a moment. Final seconds of the round.
Yeah, Branch.
Man, he is strong. You can tell Cannonier's
very. Yeah.
Oh, good hips.
Oh,
nice little short elbow.
And another elbow for good measure. Tonight's Corner Cam is brought to you by Body Armor. Switch to Body Armor, the more natural, better sports drink. Grab one today at Circle K. Body Armor, the official sports drink of UFC.
Put your hands on, hey, listen to me for a minute. Put your hands on Coach's shoulders. I need you to make your belly real big and lift up tall. Do it again. One more. Slower.
Hey, remember we talked about 3 shots as the max for him? That was 5 right there.
He's dead.
Okay?
Hey,
done.
Listen to me. I need you to throw the 6. He's shooting on your jab, timing your 2. So when you show your 2, I need you to come up and circle off. You can't stay right in front of him.
Yes,
Coach.
Anytime you get finished up, he's got your hand. Feel the thumbs, you come right out. Feel thumbs.
Right, let's slide behind it. Force that issue there. He knows it's coming. That's why he's protecting so much. That's why he's staying so flat, okay?
2 or 3 takedown attempts per round. Back on the stick. You hear me, David? Back on the stick.
UFC 230 Cormier versus Lewis is presented by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. And if you're a young corner man or woman, you can do worse than watching John Crouch and Eddie Cha and Benson Henderson just sort of maximizing those 60 seconds. And I guess it helps to have a coachable, willing fighter.
Sir, you ready? Fight!
Well, we've absolutely seen improvements in Cannonier's game, especially in comparison to the Glover Teixeira fight. Look at that, nice leg kick right away. Whoa. He's throwing some bombs.
And good corner advice. And Cannonier, they said, hey, remember how we said he's got 3 good takedowns in him? That was 5. So meaning, he's getting
Cannonier! Branch forced to cover up. Oh, Branch is hurt.
He's hurt bad.
Oh!
Cannonier hits hard.
That's
it.
Wow!
Cannonier's got some power. Those were some ruthless ground and pound shots.
Welcome to the middleweight top 10, Jared Cannonier.
Instantly. I mean, what a launching moment for him.
Jeez.
This is a guy who,
right in.
Excuse me, Joe, moved his family of 5 from Alaska to Arizona. Needless to say, he got the desired result here tonight as he takes out the -400 favorite David Branch by knockout in round 2.
That is just a tremendous result for Jared Cannonier.
I guess he did know something we didn't know, huh?
He did. He knows he's got some bombs in his hands.
Let's take a look at the highlights. This replay brought to you by Nemiroff, bold character since 1872.
The ground and pound at the end was just ferocious. You see Branch caught him with the right hand, but look at the difference. Cannonier hit him with the right hand, and then the ground and pound behind it, which was so terrifying. There's the right hand again. Boom, on the chin, sends Branch staggering. Cannonier jumps on him and just starts swinging hammers. Boom, boom. And the referee rescued him. Perfect time.
Yeah, that was impressive, man. That straight right, actually more like an angled overhand, and he had caught him with it earlier, and he was catching David Branch, but that was the cleanest shot he landed, and he capitalized. As soon as he had him hurt, he jumped all over him, and man, that ground and pound was epic.
So once it's official, it'll go into the books as the 7th career knockout for Jared Cannonier. The official decision brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Get unlimited high-speed data all month long on the same network as T-Mobile. Here now, Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Keith Peterson has called a stop to this contest at 29 seconds of round number 2. Declaring the winner by TKO, Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier.
I've been trying to get an interview with you for the longest.
I'm here with the winner, folks, Jared Cannonier. What a spectacular middleweight debut that was. And what an opportunity to come in here, short notice, to fight a guy like David Branch. You were preparing for another fight, and what a result.
Thank you, Joe. It feels good, especially to do it here on one of the biggest stages, one of the biggest arenas in the world. Plenty of people have come here and gained a lot of notoriety, fame, fortune, and I'm just so happy to be in this position to do the same.
One of the things that both Paul Felder and John Anik were saying is that you were so calm and relaxed coming in here this week that it almost seemed like you knew something that we didn't.
Well, of course. You know, I know that I'm one of the best in the world. Again, another opportunity to prove that. And I made good on it, and I come away with my hand raised.
Well, you looked incredibly strong and powerful, and your technique was just on point tonight. Let's take a look at the knockdown. And you would hit him with some really hard shots earlier in the fight. You hit him with some nasty leg kicks. I mean, you just look way better at this weight than we've ever seen you before.
Absolutely. You know, I'm only getting better as time goes by. You know, I can only get better. I'm not wasting my time in the gym, Joe. I go in there and I work my ass off. I have such a good team. I have such a good support structure. I want to thank my wife for making this weight cut as easy as it was. A lot of people think I wasn't going to be able to make the weight, but it was super easy. As everybody saw, I came in under the limit. So, you know, it's work. This is work for me. I'm a professional, and I can do this anytime, any day. So once again, I want to thank my team. I want to thank my wife, my family. I want to thank the good people of New York. The energy here was just unreal. I was walking around the street seeing everybody. It was just a wonderful place. I got to eat some New York pizza for the first time. I got to see Times Square. I'm in Madison Square Garden. Who could ask for more than that? I don't even know where else to go. I want to thank two people in particular. I want to thank Jamar Milton, and I want to thank my boy, Young Pharaoh. These two men have taught me so much, and it will be an honor to meet those two guys one day.
Congratulations on a truly spectacular result, my friend. Jared Cannonier, ladies and gentlemen.
Coming out party for the Killer Gorilla tonight. Big win for Jared Cannonier. Former UFC bantamweight champion Cody Garbrandt in the building tonight at Madison Square Garden. Also with us, a guy who was to be competing tonight, the former UFC middleweight champion Luke Rockhold. We wish him a speedy road to recovery. One of the best in the division, looking to return sooner rather than later. All right, straight ahead, we will get to the co-main event between Chris Weidman and Jacare Souza. What's coming up? Brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Get up to 60% off until November 5th. Play as your favorite UFC superstars in the most complete MMA game ever. EA Sports UFC 3, available on Xbox One and PS4. Well, those two logos look good next to each other. Happy to announce our UFC debut on ESPN Plus will take place Saturday, January 19th from Barclays Center, not far from here in Brooklyn, New York. Fight card details to be announced in the coming weeks. Certainly, though, we are all excited to get this UFC ESPN era underway when the calendar turns to 2019. And to that end, now look at some other first quarter highlights as the MMA leader gets set to align with the worldwide leader in sports. So January 19th in Brooklyn on ESPN Plus. 1 week later, it'll be UFC 233 from Anaheim. That one's on pay-per-view. Back to Brazil, February 2nd. And then the first true UFC fight night on ESPN with 5 straight hours of UFC action on Big ESPN will be Sunday, February 17th. That'll be in Phoenix, Arizona. UFC 235. T-Mobile in Vegas, March 2nd. The Octagon back to London at the O2. That's an ESPN Plus UFC fight night, Saturday, March 16th. And the second big ESPN fight night to close out the month of March, March 30th. So wall-to-wall action, January 19th all the way to March 30th. Mark your calendars, folks. We hope to see many of you out there on the road. All right, now a message from our friends at Harley-Davidson. Well, everyone is tuning into UFC 230 tonight. Live look inside Miller's Ale House at Rego Park. You know the karate hottie brings him in, the great Michelle Watterson, enjoying the fights. And, I don't know, maybe a few Modelo's with UFC fans tonight here in the Mecca, New York City. All right, as we get you primed for the co-main event, these fighter rankings are brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3, now available in EA Access. Subscribe and play now for $4.99 a month on Xbox One. Number 3 versus number 5 in the middleweight division. Both of these guys have had this fight on their respective radars for some time. Here and now, it shall be done. Chris Weidman, Jacare Souza, both men intent on producing a result that could get them to a UFC title shot. So we are already here, the co-main event between two of the top 185-pound fighters in the world. And despite being at the top of the division for years, former champ Chris Weidman and perennial contender Jacare Souza have never met in the Octagon. Tonight, that all changes, and with a Madison Square Garden backdrop. In a state that has produced more than its share of combat sports stars, Long Island's Chris Weidman has certainly etched his name in the history books. But the All-American believes his story is just beginning, and he's got a chapter to write tonight against Jacare Souza in the world's most famous arena.
Eu quero muito vencer essa luta, me preparei para vencer essa luta e eu vou vencer essa luta. Vai ser grandioso para minha carreira.
A win over Jacare anywhere would be amazing, but to have it in Madison Square Garden in New York in front of all my friends, family, and fans is going to be a dream come true. And it's a huge, huge stepping stone to get myself to that title.
One of the most decorated grapplers in the sport, Brazil's Jacare Souza has effectively mixed striking into his game in recent years. Knockouts of Yushin Okami, Vitor Belfort, and Derek Brunson have proved Souza deadly wherever a fight takes him. And that versatility could be key tonight against the former world champion Chris Weidman.
Essa luta contra o Chris Weidman é muito importante. Ele é um grande adversário, é um ex-campeão e vai me levar em direção ao meu objetivo, que é lutar pelo cinturão.
Instrumental in helping MMA return to New York, Chris Weidman has since fought 3 times in his home state, but no performance was more impressive than his last one. A submission of Kelvin Gastelum in his home arena would serve to put Weidman on a definite march back to the middleweight title.
My goal is to go out there and finish Jacare tonight and then go on to become the world champion once again.
Joe, one of the most respected fighters on this roster from fans and fighters alike. The number 5 ranked middleweight contender, 5-time jiu-jitsu world champion, Brazilian Jacare Souza.
I remember when he made his MMA debut a long time ago against Macaco when he didn't have really any striking at all and he got stopped. I remember when he was this guy who was this phenom in Brazilian jiu-jitsu who was just tearing through the scene, is submitting some of the greatest fighters in the world. But what you see now is a true mixed martial artist. You see a guy who's complete. He's got fantastic striking. He head kicked Derrick Brunson and stopped him. His knockout of Yushin Okami was terrifying. I mean, it showed that he's got the striking ability that is at the same level, at least close to it, as his grappling ability. And his grappling ability is as good as we've ever seen inside the Octagon.
Tonight's Prep Point is brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925.
Yeah, I think Souza is one of the most terrifying guys in that division because the more he's learning to use his stand-up to set things up, get finishes on the feet or hurt you, when he goes to the ground, I mean, I can only imagine what that guy's squeeze feels like when he decides to put on a submission or he grabs my arm. I hope I never have to grapple Jacare in my life. That's for sure.
That's a good hope.
So his last fight against Kelvin Gastelum, he was on the wrong side of a split decision, but he was very candid about fight week. He said he made some mistakes. He had a bad weight cut, felt like that interfered with his performance, but he is hell-bent on getting that elusive first UFC title shot, and certainly if he could take out Chris Weidman in enemy territory here tonight, he would have a strong case.
Yeah, he certainly would, and I think Weidman still remains, despite the losses that he's had, one of the absolute best middleweights on planet Earth. He still has a tremendous skill set. He's an incredibly strong wrestler. He's got real knockout power, particularly in his left hook. He's got a long left hook, the one that he hit Anderson Silva with, very deceptive. And he's just as tough as they come. But Jacare on the ground is unparalleled.
And Jacare Souza, a real problem early. 18 of his 25 pro mixed martial arts wins have come in round 1. 12th UFC appearance for Jacare Souza tonight at MSG. True champion who said he is ready to walk through fire to get the job done here tonight. The number 3 ranked middleweight contender, the former champion Chris Weidman, trying to make it back-to-back wins.
Chris Weidman at one point in time was thought to be not just one of the best middleweights in the world, but one of the best middleweights ever.
Right.
He was a dominant wrestler who had that just killer mindset. He would figure out a way to get you. And then he ran into 3 of the best fighters in the division. He ran into Luke Rockhold, Yoel Romero, and Jacare Souza. 3 very, very difficult losses, but I think what that points to more than anything is the sheer depth of this incredibly talent-stacked middleweight division.
Yes.
And the reality of MMA, that at any moment, in any fight, something can go wrong, and a guy lands a flying knee, or this happens or that happens, and you lose. That happened with him in the Luke Rockhold fight. That happened with him in the Yoel Romero fight. I just think it shows the strength of Chris Weidman, that he's never lost his determination, never lost his confidence, and I believe that his last victory, when he beat Calvin Gastelum and beat him by submission after he had been hurt, shows that he still has the grit and determination to be one of the best in the world.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say it any better than that. That is this sport, Joe. It doesn't matter. You can be winning every aspect of the entire fight. With 5 seconds left, you can get hit with a knee to the head, hit with an overhand right, and you're out. And that's the crazy game that we're in. This is why we love it. You never know what's going to happen out there. And unfortunately, Chris Weidman 3 times in a row was on the other side of that. And then he came back. He showed he's got grit. He showed he still wants to be the best in the world, wants to be a champion. And he beat Calvin Gastelum, who's shown that he is absolutely one of the top middleweights in the world. And here he is fighting another one tonight.
And Weidman did change up the routine a little bit. 20 weeks out, he was running at 5:36 a.m., incorporated some stretching into his routine, started sparring early as well. Weidman seemingly in the best shape of his life, trying to come up large here in New York State yet again. All right, this tail of tape brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Chris Weidman, 34. Jacare Souza will be 39 in December. Weidman, the taller man by 1 inch. We'll see if he can maximize what is a 6-inch edge in reach. All right, now for the introductions for this co-main event, here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the co-main event of the evening. Sponsored by Motel 6. When you're ready to tap out, book online at motel6.com. We'll leave the light on for you. And now, this fight is 3 rounds in the UFC middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist holding a professional record. 25 wins, 6 losses, 1 no contest. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighing in at 185.5 pounds. Fighting out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, presenting the former Strikeforce middleweight champion and the number 5 ranked middleweight contender in the world, Ronaldo Jacare Souza. And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist holding a professional record, 14 wins, 3 losses. He stands 6 feet 2 inches tall, weighing in at 186 pounds. Fighting out of Baldwin, New York, presenting the former UFC middleweight champion and the number 3 ranked middleweight contender in the world, the All-American, Chris Weidman. And when the action begins, our referee in charge, Dan Mergliata.
Here we go. Just touch gloves, guys, real quick. Back to the corners.
Luciana Andrade getting us started for round one. I think I'm hearing USA chants from the New York crowd here tonight. Chris Weidman was to rematch Luke Rockhold here tonight. Rockhold out due to injury. In steps another top contender, Jacare Souza. Tonight's Fight Clock brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Souza in yellow, Chris Weidman is in black.
Jacare immediately stalking Chris Weidman, controlling the center of the octagon with a low stance.
Nice little 1-1-2 there from Chris. Ooh.
Nice stick there by Weidman. Jacare's coaches feel like his hands have looked as good as ever during this last training camp.
He's got to be careful, though, the way he just pulled out of that exchange. He pulled straight back with his hands down, and Jacare threw a big overhand, and it missed. But that's something you got to watch out for. You don't want to just slide back with no defense with a guy who throws bombs like Jacare.
And there's that right hand you were just talking about.
Yeah, he might not have the most finesse. He might not have the craziest technique when it comes to his kickboxing, but Jacare will wind up and crack you with it.
And he's so strong. And not just, look at that. Even grappling, but just every aspect of his game. His power and his kicks, his punches. And as you said earlier, his squeeze must be out of this world.
Some good feints there from Weidman. I like that. He's trying to keep him guessing, not overcommitting.
Weidman trying to stick that jab. Big right hand from Souza fails to land.
And a question for me is Weidman going to avoid kicking? He doesn't want to go to the ground with Jacare. Most likely he wants to stand up, and if he goes to the ground, he wants to be the one that initiates where it happens.
Yeah, wants to be on top if he's down there.
Does not want to have that guy on his, on top of him, crushing him.
469-day layoff for Chris Weidman ends tonight, the longest of his 10-year career.
Nice.
Nice combination.
Big right from Weidman early.
He stung him with that right hand. Beautiful combination by Weidman.
Now, Chris being smart here. When you hurt a guy like Jacare, or somebody as experienced as him, you see that he's stunned. If you rush in, you know his first instinct is going to be to throw the biggest punch or the biggest counter he can find. And Chris saw that. Ooh, nice little liver shot there from Jacare.
And now Souza over the top.
It's getting hot in here.
Yep.
They're mixing it up.
And what do we have? We got ourselves a kickboxing match between two of the world's, possibly some of the greatest grapplers in the UFC.
Nice leg kick by Jacare.
Good counter from Chris.
Yeah, beautiful counter.
Wow.
Wow, that's a loud USA.
The Souza corner imploring him to move forward and close the distance. Weidman lands partially with the left hand.
I like the head movement of Souza.
Yes.
Much more head movement than we're usually seeing from him.
You're right, and his new coaches, James Taylor, Julian Williams, Fusion Excel Performance in Orlando, they don't get a lot of credit, but those guys have been there a long time. They know what they're doing.
Jacare needs to hide that kick better. He needs to put it behind some hands. Because Weidman is just not there for it.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even seen a takedown attempt from either guy yet, Joe.
No.
And this is what we thought would happen.
Yeah.
We thought it would play out mostly on the feet. So far, Chris does look sharp. His hands do look good. Jacare, though, avoiding most of it, high guard, and moving his head at the same time.
And there's that straight right again.
Yeah, he snuck that one through.
1 minute to go in round one.
Blood coming out of the nose of Jacare. And Weidman mixing it up, going to the body with that jab as well. Ooh, there's a hard leg kick.
Immediately welted that leg. Unless that was from the first one he landed in the fight. Ooh. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, loads up, nothing doing. Weidman jab on point.
Oh, nasty liver shot again by Jacare. He's doing a great job. Oh, again.
Oh, they both got rocked there.
Souza now busted up, under 30 seconds to go in the round.
Yeah, his nose is really bleeding heavy now.
But I think that woke him up a little bit. I think now he knows maybe he's getting a little behind on the scorecards, landing these jabs from Chris Weidman. But Chris stalking him here. He's looking for that straight right again. That's why he's throwing that wide slapping hook.
Final seconds of the round here. Weidman seemed unfazed by the body shots that landed from Souza. Both guys had their moments. 5 minutes down.
See that slapping hook, and he comes around with that one. So there he used a big slapping hook to the right hand over the top. Another overhand right, but Jacare, nice knee here, misses, but comes back with a right hook over the top. That's where they both cracked each other at the same exact time.
Yeah, without that. Look,
this is like a kickboxing match broke out.
That hook cross, and just keep hit or move. That's it, one or the other. Hit or fucking move. And you got leg kicks too. And what about that little fake uppercut? You know, especially when he comes to the body, shoot that fucking uppercut. Any of your body shots hurt you? That's it. We're good to go, baby. We're good to go. You look great, man. Your crowd, your fucking night. Just keep your win. Breathe.
Ray Longo.
Breathe. Come on, same thing.
The UFC 230 Cormier versus Lewis, presented by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Ray Longo, Matt Serra keeping it simple for Chris Weidman. But everything has worked off of that jab for Weidman here tonight. We'll see the extent to which Souza has recovered.
Nice leg kick by Weidman.
And that was what Ray Longo called for after round one.
Oh, Jacare with the right hand over the top, but Chris is getting in with that jab again.
Sharp. His hands look sharp.
Sharp and good movement.
Yeah, he's not staying there for the counter, because you know Jacare is going to come back with a big right hand or a big leg kick. He's throwing his, check that one. Yeah, we know what happens when Chris Weidman can check a leg kick, as we've seen before. I was waiting for that, Joe. I was going to say, the way he's throwing that left hook, a lot of times you either have a couple options, that straight right down the pipe, but he can slap and throw that big, almost like that Conor McGregor uppercut. Right uppercut.
Jacare is trying to turn this into a brawl. He's like, enough of this technical striking. Nice left hook to the body by Jacare.
That's what he's got to do. He's got to start making this ugly to stay in this fight.
Oh, hard leg kick.
He's brawling now, Joe.
He really is. He's going for it.
That right hand got Weidman's attention. Now another one for good measure.
But good defense there from Chris.
Good front kick up the middle by Jacare. Oh,
that one
he rolled with that. It landed, but he's doing it. Oh, another nasty left to the body by Jacare. Right hand over the top again. They're exchanging knees.
Nice.
Knee lands there for Souza.
Did that hurt him? No, he shook it off. No takedown. I'm surprised Jacare hasn't even tried to take the fight down.
Crazy. Two of the very best in the world just... Woo! Jacare got hurt by that. He's hurt.
Yeah, he didn't like that. Chris smells that blood. He's stalking him. That leg kick would be there for Chris right now, too.
Good head movement there by Chris. No, just barely missed that knee. Jacare keeps going to that left to the body. And look at the right side of Chris Weidman's body. Woo! Oh!
Leather being landed on both sides here as we approach the midpoint of round two.
Man, Jacare like a zombie in there, man. He's just marching through all this.
Some swelling around his right eye, bleeding out of the nose.
Yeah, he's bleeding pretty good, John.
He's got his mouth wide open now, too. He can't breathe out of his nose, which makes him more susceptible to getting knocked out.
Yeah, that nose is broken.
Yeah, it's smashed at this point.
But he's still fighting, man.
Uppercut now to the body. Jacare mixing up the strikes beautifully here.
And he's spinning him around as he's throwing that left hook. Woo!
Chris slowed a little bit, huh?
Yeah, you know, health has been a big part of the narrative with Weidman. He said he didn't miss a day of training for this camp, and that has not always been the case.
Yeah, Jacare cannot breathe out of that nose, it looks like, whatsoever. Chris has got to go back to that. Start using that jab more. I mean, I did expect it when we said it was going to become a kickboxing match, but I thought at least maybe a takedown attempt.
Well, and I think Souza was expectant that Weidman would try to take him down because that's what he's done to every UFC opponent, but
I would think not, though. I would think that Weidman would be the one who wouldn't want it on the ground.
Because he's got the defense.
Yeah.
He's the one that can keep it on the feet.
Right. And he's the one that would be at the worst position if Jacare got on top of him. Even if Jacare's on the bottom, he's nasty. I mean, and Weidman respects that. He comes from a jiu-jitsu background. He understands.
All right, how about some Ray Longo and Matt Serra?
The head kick after that. Yes! Yes, Chris! Yes! Yes, Chris! Nice! Chris! Take your time, Chris! Chris, look to put him down! Take your time!
Under a minute.
Chris, 45 seconds! Let's look to put him down! Block his knee and drive him down!
Matt Serra calling for the takedown from Weidman as we come up on 30 seconds in round 2. And a blatant fence grab there.
Yeah, clearly grabbing the fence there.
He's got his hands locked.
He gets him down. Jacare rolls. Jacare on top.
Wow.
10 seconds.
Woo! Souza loaded up on that right hand, just missed. How about this co-main event?
What a fight.
Yeah.
I almost wish this was 5 rounds.
The unauthorized reproduction or distribution of this copyrighted work is illegal and punishable under law.
And here we see Jacare with a right hand, catches Chris on the forehead. And there's a nasty left hand to the body, and he raked the body with several of those. And Weidman with a nice right hand over the guard. Souza with a right hand. Rock'em, sock'em robots at the highest level.
Take it, okay? And the kicks are working beautiful, okay? I don't want you backing up no more. You press him, you win this fight, okay?
You gotta keep this left hand up.
We need a dominant finish this round, okay? We need one.
Left hand up, Jacare. Get up.
5 minutes of hell.
Longo calling for 5 minutes of hell, the third and final round. Both fighters have landed 51 significant strikes unofficially. Jacare Souza, Chris Weidman. As we said off the top, a lot of mutual respect between these two combatants. No overstating the importance of these 5 minutes in terms of the landscape of this UFC middleweight division.
That nose is really bothering Jacare. You saw him in there trying to clear it out.
Nasty leg kick right there.
And again, Matt Serra asking for the takedown.
Beautiful kick from the body by Weidman. A right hand by Weidman.
Man, I'll tell you, Chris, again with that body shot. Head movement from Jacare.
Oh, again with the leg kick. What a fight.
Oh, nice right hand. Madness.
Souza with a nice string of strikes here to begin round 3.
You know, and I think that really speaks to Jacare's cardio. He can't breathe out of his nose whatsoever right now, and he is pressuring forward and slinging. Imagine how good he could look if he could breathe.
Knee up the middle by Weidman. Oh, man. Weidman's hands have never looked sharper.
No, he looks great. And he's got a body on him today because Jacare has tested it. He has thrown that left dig to the body like 20 times.
Nice uppercut there by Weidman.
Oh! That's his bread and butter.
Oh! Weidman poured it on.
I like that. I love that little double right hand to set things up. That's one of my favorite things. Just touch, touch. You follow up with your left. Let's see if Chris tries to utilize that at all. Flying knee. He's rolling with that right hand.
He's rolling with the punches. I mean, his head looks like it's getting snapped back. He's definitely getting hit, but he's relaxed enough, and he's had enough sparring and striking now that he's rolling with punches more, instead of just taking them and stiffening up.
Under 3 minutes now to go.
Jacare likes that front kick up the middle.
Yeah.
And that'll take a lot out of your sails.
And it's not like a teep, not like a Muay Thai teep, it's a karate Taekwondo style.
Yeah, he's snapping it in there.
Oh! Man, he's a savage in there today.
Oh,
look at that kick to the body.
Big right. And now back to the body goes Souza. And is down. Dan Murgliata has yet to stop the fight. Souza stops striking. Now he stops it. Jacare Souza knocks out Chris Weidman.
That's crazy. Jacare tried to say stop the fight. Dan said it's not stopped yet. And he hit him again, and clearly Jacare was correct there.
In a career full of big wins, you can argue none bigger than that one for Ronaldo Jacare Souza.
Wow. What a fight. And Paul, this is literally exactly
we just
what you
talked
were
about
saying.
that.
Exactly. Anything could happen at any moment, and something just did. He got caught with a big shot. He got dropped and stopped. I mean, literally, in a fight where, I mean, that's as close a fight as you're ever going to see.
Wow. This replay brought to you by Nemiroff, bold character since 1872.
Unbelievable.
Such a crazy sport. And here it comes.
Right on the temple.
Right on the temple, and his legs
almost
just
delayed, right?
Yeah. His legs completely gave out, and Jacare pleads with the referee to stop it.
Look. And you can see when Chris is, look at this, man.
Yeah, his eyes rolled back in his head, and Jacare says, come on, man.
He's too tough for his own good. Again. You let him hit him, what, four more times?
And look, he's hitting him completely defenseless. Chris doesn't even know what's going on. Let's see this again. Boom! His legs just shut off. He lays there, his eyes are rolled back.
Yeah.
And Jacare says, come on, man, this is over.
Props to Jacare. He didn't even want to have to put those shots in. He didn't even want to land those extra ones. He knew it was over.
And you understand, given the stakes.
Dan didn't help it out there at all.
Right.
Wow.
But for Jacare Souza, right, and major strides made when it comes to his striking, the head movement, which you and Joe both referenced.
He looked great. He broke his nose early. Other than that, it'd be curious how much closer that fight could have been up until that last, fantastic moment there from Jacare. But he did. He invested in body shots, which ultimately paid off for him in the end because he dug to the body, dug to the body, dug to the body. But what's he finish with? Over the top.
The official decision brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Get unlimited high-speed data all month long on the same network as T-Mobile. Here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Dan Murgliata has called a stop to this contest at 2 minutes, 46 seconds of round number 3. Declaring the winner by TKO, Ronaldo Jacare Souza.
I'm here with the winner, Jacare Souza. First of all, congratulations on just an amazing victory and a truly spectacular fight. It looked like your nose was possibly broken early in the fight and you were having a hard time breathing out of it. How big of a factor was that?
Parabéns por uma performance maravilhosa. Parecia que seu nariz estava quebrado. Como estava difícil respirar pelo nariz?
Thanks God. First of all, thanks God. My nose is not broken because I was born on the wrong side of the track, and my nose is not broke. And I want to say I love Chris. He's a great guy. He's a hero. He's a legend in this sport. I love him. I follow him on his social media. He's a great guy. He's a great person. I know here is his hometown. I'm so bad about him, but I guys really love this guy because he's the best in the world.
Jacare, you showed that respect for Chris Weidman. When you dropped him, you did not want to hit him again. You wanted the referee to stop the fight. Were you surprised the referee did not?
Você parou de bater quando o juiz ainda deixou você continuar. Você mesmo não parou de bater para não machucar mais ele. Foi uma mostra muito clássica. O que você acha disso?
It's sport, man. It's sport. It's the more hard sports in the world. We need to respect each other. Everybody like when me and Chris We did their face-off, very a lot of respect, but this side the Octagon is a war. I come to win, he come to win. It's a real fight.
Jacare, when you get two of the best grapplers in the world together like you two, you never know what kind of fight is going to take place, whether it's going to be a grappling or a striking fight. It turned out to be an all-out striking war. Is that what you anticipated?
Quando a gente bota dois dos melhores grapplers do mundo junto, a gente acha que vai ser uma luta de grappling. Aconteceu, foi uma luta de striking. Era esse seu plano?
It's MMA. It's MMA. JT work my hands. I work my hands in Fusion Excel Academy. The guys push me up every day, and I come to do my best. It's fight. I come to win, he come to win too.
Congratulations on an incredible victory.
Thank you.
Jacare Souza, ladies and gentlemen.
And that man is going to be hard.
Thank you so much.
He will be hard to deny a title shot at this point in time, and the more you watch the end of the fight in the replays, the more criticism I think you can levy at the referee, Dan Miragliotta. You're in there, number one, first and foremost, to protect the fighters, and did Weidman a disservice there.
Yeah, he's lucky that Jacare is the class act and the true martial artist that he is, because Chris was out, and he's a warrior, and it's a shame that he had to end with more shots to his head than he didn't need to take tonight, in my opinion.
Joe, sometimes when the stakes of a fight are so high, we see a referee trying to give the fighter every benefit of every doubt. Most people think he did Chris Weidman a tremendous disservice tonight by not intervening.
It's hard to say. You would have to be there watching him, looking in his eyes, and even then it's a judgment call. And we also know that Chris Weidman is just one of the toughest men that's ever lived. You got to take that into account, too. You got to take into account how many times guys have come back from looking like they're out and figured out a way to survive and then come back and figure out a way to win. Namely, a guy like Frankie Edgar. You know, an overzealous referee could have stopped either one of his fights with Gray Maynard. You never know. You have to be right there. I wasn't there. Dan Miragliotta was there. But Jacare wanted it stopped, just out of respect. You can tell. He cracked him. He dropped him.
He doesn't
looked
want
at
to
him.
hit him any more than he has to.
He could have easily hit him again. Easily hit him again. He didn't want to. It's not like he wanted the referee to give him a victory. He just didn't want to hit a man that he respected when he felt like the fight should have been called.
And there's Jose Aldo congratulating his countryman Jacare Souza. Weidman rallying through adversity the last time out against Kelvin Gastelum, unable to do so here tonight. There's the #1 light heavyweight contender, Alexander Gustafsson, one of the best fighters in UFC history to have never realized the UFC championship. He gets a third crack in December. Tonight's locker room shots are brought to you by P3, the official protein snack of UFC. And there is Daniel Cormier getting warmed up as he tries to successfully defend this UFC heavyweight championship here tonight. As focused as ever, and the same can be said for the Black Beast Derrick Lewis. Back-to-back training camps for him. A big win over Alexander Volkov 28 days ago. Tonight, he will try to leave this arena as the new heavyweight champ.
Hope you're enjoying UFC 230. Take a look at UFC champion TJ Dillashaw live life to the fullest and watch this from Nemiroff Vodka. The man makes the man, Nemiroff makes the vodka since 1872.
What makes a man is what makes a fighter. It's your hunger, your drive, your appetite for experiencing every moment to the fullest. Being invincible, but never invisible. And the strength to brush yourself off, stand up, and kick the world square in the teeth.
Dillashaw has done it again!
The man makes the man. We make his vodka.
Max Holloway versus Brian Ortega for the UFC Featherweight Championship of the World is one of the highest level matchups in the history of the featherweight division.
Brian T. City Ortega is still undefeated.
I'm gonna keep the finishing streak going. I'm coming from Max Holloway, and we're gonna get that belt.
I'm gonna keep doing what I do best. Win fights.
The winning streak is a dozen.
And on to the next.
Him and I are so good that we went through the division, and there's nowhere to go no more. Now it's my time.
Oh, and there's the tap!
My destiny.
Oh!
The belt's next.
It's time to just prove to the world I'm the best to ever do it. Welcome to the blessed era, baby.
Max Holloway!
I'm not leaving without that belt.
Come get me. I dare you.
So Toronto next month, New York City tonight. There is the Statue of Liberty. Of course, we're in Manhattan tonight for UFC 230, Cormier versus Lewis. And the main event is on tap. Speaking of which, now live from Madison Square Garden, it is time for the main event of UFC 230, Cormier versus Lewis, brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. These UFC heavyweight rankings brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Get up to 60% off until November 5th. Play as your favorite UFC superstars in the most complete MMA game ever. EA Sports UFC 3 available on Xbox One and PS4. The number 2 ranked heavyweight contender Derrick Lewis at long last in UFC appearance number 16 gets his heavyweight championship fight tonight.
And the only one who has any complaint about it at all is Stipe Miocic.
Right.
Everybody else wants to see this because this is a crazy fight, and I sympathize with Stipe. And I do hope that he eventually gets a rematch or at least a shot at the winner of this fight. But this is a fight to make. And especially after Derrick Lewis come from behind knockout victory in his last fight, which is just such a spectacular result. His personality, just the sheer force of the fans behind him. People want to see this fight. I want to see this fight. And what makes this fight interesting is the power that this guy possesses. Unbelievable knockout power that no one can deny.
Might have the heaviest hands in the division. Derrick Lewis has smashed his way through the ranks, as you just saw there tonight. Houston's Black Beast getting his shot at the title. Of course, it is a belt the all-timer Daniel Cormier has no intention of relinquishing tonight.
Without a doubt, Daniel Cormier will be the best fighter Derrick Lewis has ever faced in his life. In fact, he's one of the best fighters that's ever fought in MMA, period.
The difference between me at heavyweight and light heavyweight is just I don't go through those weight cuts that depletes me, and I think it takes away a lot of what I can do in the octagon. You know, being at heavyweight has allowed me to keep my power.
Never before has a UFC light heavyweight champion moved up to challenge the active heavyweight champion. That is our reality in Las Vegas tonight. Oh! Cormier knocks me down! It's UFC history! Daniel Cormier is the UFC heavyweight champion!
The one thing that will separate me in terms of double champions is I can be the first one to defend both titles because I've defended the light heavyweight title 3 times.
And there's the tap, and still, Daniel Cormier has done it!
And if I'm able to beat Derrick Lewis, I will have defended the heavyweight championship. I'm in the conversation for the greatest fighter of all time. I think that'll show on November 3rd.
I believe the UFC approached me about this Cormier fight is because they sick of him. They want somebody to get rid of him, so they called me in for the job.
Derrick Lewis brings 2 very important things to every fight: knockout power and incredible heart.
Down goes Gonzaga, he's out!
Derrick Lewis has been hurt and hurt bad in several fights and come back to win.
We are down 2 rounds. Most important fight of your life. I need you to turn this up.
Oh! There it is! Volkov trying to survive! Volkov's out! The Black Beast!
Doesn't matter if we late in the 3rd round, the last few seconds in the 5th round. That knockout power is always there, and I'm always looking for it.
If you got a puncher's chance to win a fight against me, you don't have much of a chance at all. Derrick Lewis has to knock me out to win. I can box him up. I can take him down and beat him in the grappling. I can submit him. There are a number of ways for me to win this fight.
Don't ever underestimate me. You for sure will see a finish in this fight, like you seen in my last one. You will see the Black Beast come out of me.
I'm gonna go to take his head off. November 3rd, you hear and still.
Muted his doubters and naysayers every step of the way. They said I would never be top 10. I would never be the #1 contender. Tonight, the Black Beast Derrick Lewis has it all in front of him. He will try to go back to Houston, Texas as the UFC heavyweight champion of the world.
And what an incredible upset that would be, and what an amazing story to have the background that Derrick Lewis has had all the troubles with the law, been locked up in prison, and in his mind really come back from hell to be who he is right now. The #2 contender standing right here, about to step into the Octagon to fight for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world with a real chance. And physically looks better than we've seen him look ever. Looked real lean and healthy at the weigh-ins. Yeah. Is in phenomenal shape because he went through a full camp to get ready for his last fight and then immediately went into camp for this fight. He's loose. He's comfortable with the experience now, having just fought a few weeks ago. He's ready.
Tonight's Prep Point is brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925.
Oh man, Derrick Lewis, yeah, just like you said, Joe, it's like, who would have thought that not that long ago this man would be standing here about to enter the Octagon fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world. But when you have that kind of grit and that knockout power and you finish guys like he does in this division, it's only a matter of time. And that's how it usually works out. It's just the circumstances. There's a little bit of luck involved in this sport. But more importantly is hard work and you going in there and finishing fights. With that and a little luck, you're here and you could be living your dream, man. And it's crazy to see the Black Beast entering in here and fighting Daniel Cormier tonight.
4th UFC main event for Derrick Lewis. 10 UFC knockouts to his credit. 6 of those have materialized on the ground. He becomes tonight the 3rd fighter in the modern era to compete on back-to-back pay-per-views. The Black Beast ready for his title shot here and now in New York City. Two-time United States Olympian who has become one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. The UFC's light heavyweight and now heavyweight champion. Every time he fights now, Joe, he puts that status as one of the best to ever do it on the line. Tonight, as a prohibited favorite, he'll try to defend the UFC heavyweight title.
And I think he feels better at heavyweight and confirmed that with his victory over Stipe Miocic. You know, he went through a long undefeated streak as a heavyweight, won the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix, beat such greats as Josh Barnett in the process, but then decided his best chance of winning a title would be to compete at 205, especially considering that Cain Velasquez, his teammate, was in the mix at heavyweight. But now that Cain has been out and injured, and he shocked the world by stopping Stipe Miocic, we can see that this weight class really is the best weight class for Daniel Cormier. And having that confidence and the confirmation of that from that last fight behind him gives him added momentum coming in here tonight.
Yeah, and all he's got to worry about is just being the best competitor that he can possibly be. You see how big Daniel Cormier is. Imagine that man cutting down to 205. We haven't seen him do that in a couple fights, but you can tell that's not something that's natural for him to be down that weight class. Like we talked about, if he did diet, if he did all those things, but clearly that's not how he feels healthiest. It's not how he feels happiest. So who am I to tell Daniel Cormier, of all people, hey, you need to eat a little better? If that's how you fight better, more power to you, brother.
Especially after he knocks out Stipe Miocic.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say to the guy? I'm not going to say anything.
I'm not saying nothing. Keep doing what you're doing.
The keyboard warriors will, though, Joe. They'll do it for us.
Well, if he keeps winning, they can't say anything either.
Oh, they will.
But here's the thing. That man that he's about to fight, just step across and look at Derrick Lewis. That's an enormous human being. Derrick is huge, and he looks better physically than I think we've ever seen him look.
He does. You can see it in his face. And when it comes to Daniel Cormier, you run out of time to set up all of his credentials. I will tell you, he is 8-0 when landing at least 2 takedowns in a fight. He likes his hands. He's got a big overhand right. Stipe can certainly attest to the striking. But prevailing wisdom is that Daniel Cormier will try to wrestle early and often tonight and try to get one of his patented submissions against a man in Derrick Lewis who has never been submitted as a pro in MMA. We are ready to go with this UFC Heavyweight Championship fight. This tale of the tape brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Daniel Cormier will turn 40 in March. Derrick Lewis is 33 years old. He is the taller man by 4 inches. And Lewis cuts down to the 265-pound championship limit. He will have a 6.5-inch reach advantage. All right, now to get us the introductions for our main event, here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. Sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission. Our 3 judges scoring this contest at Octagon side are Chris Lee, Doug Crosby, and Sal D'Amato. And when the action begins, our referee in charge of the Octagon, Herb Dean. This bout is sponsored by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. And P3, the official protein snack of UFC. And Metro by T-Mobile. Get unlimited high-speed data all month long on the same network as T-Mobile. And now, for those in attendance and UFC fans watching around the world, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Live from Madison Square Garden in the Big Apple, New York City, New York. It's time! 5 rounds for the undisputed UFC Heavyweight Championship of the world. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a brawler, holding a professional record, 21 wins, 5 losses, 1 no contest. He stands 6 feet 3 inches tall, weighing in at 264.5 pounds. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, presenting the #2 ranked heavyweight contender in the world, the challenger, Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. And now introducing the champion, fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist holding a professional record, 21 wins, 1 loss, 1 no contest. He stands 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing in at 251 pounds. Fighting out of San Jose, California, he is the former Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix champion and the current UFC Light Heavyweight champion, presenting the reigning, defending, undisputed UFC Heavyweight Champion of the world, Daniel D.C. Cormier. right, gentlemen, we've been over the rules. Protect yourself at all times. Follow my instructions. You're gonna keep it clean. Touch gloves and let's do it.
Daniel Cormier trying to successfully defend his UFC heavyweight title tonight against the Black Beast, Derrick Lewis. Our main event for UFC 230 here tonight.
Ready, let's fight.
And we are now underway. Tonight's fight clock is brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Derrick Lewis is in blue, Daniel Cormier in the black and gold, befitting a champion. Lewis opens with a shot to the body, lands underneath that elbow of DC.
Yeah, immediately opens up with a switch kick. Bold move against a wrestler. Oh, nice leg kick. Heavy leg kick by Derrick Lewis. DC pressuring him against the cage.
Oh, there's that head kick.
And that is the side that he leans to when he goes for that single.
But here we go, Joe. Here we go. Let's see what happens right here. This is going to say a whole lot about how this fight's going to go.
So less than a minute in, Daniel Cormier gets his first takedown.
And he didn't have to work all that hard for that one.
No, he did not. The level of wrestling, the comparison between the two, it's almost unreachable. Daniel, two-time Olympian, absolutely one of the best wrestlers that's ever competed in MMA. For evidence of that, watch his fight against Dan Henderson, who's also a phenomenal wrestler. And DC ragdolls him.
Saw the highlights of him tossing Josh Barnett, a credentialed heavyweight in his own right. 90 seconds have gone by. DC has this fight seemingly where he wants it early.
Now, this is all about Derrick Lewis conserving energy and figuring out how to not get submitted and how to get back up to his feet. But does he have the skill set to do that? Has he worked with great wrestlers? Has he worked technically on getting himself in the proper position to get back up? Hip escaping, utilizing underhooks. So right now, he's got half guard on the right leg, the left leg of Daniel Cormier. He should be trying to get an underhook on that same side and trying to stand back up.
Yeah, and the real question is, even if he has, Joe, even if he has worked all those things, who's he working with? Who are you going to find that's on the level, not only of wrestling, but now of MMA and experience as Daniel Cormier? It's one thing to prepare for it, and another to get in there with a guy like DC.
Derrick's trying to just get up.
Which is dangerous against a guy like Cormier.
Right, but that's how he's done it his whole career, right? He's just gotten up, and he got up.
He's up.
Cormier still maintaining control of the body here,
for how long? Yeah, he's up, but does he get tripped again? Because DC will let you up just so he can trip you and throw you to the ground again, because it takes a lot of energy to get back up.
Yeah.
And if he does it again and again and again, by the end of the round, you're sapped.
Yeah, exactly. You can get up, but with a guy like DC putting all that weight on, and he just does it again. Yep. It's just simple single legs, too. It's not like he's not even doing what he's done in the past, where he's got a high crotch, throw guys on their head. So far, Black Beast putting up very little defense on the, the takedown side of things. And when he gets down, he can't just keep giving his back up to get up like that. Eventually, DC will find a way to get his arm around your neck.
And he will get too tired to do it effectively. Because every time he's doing it, he's basically doing a squat with a 250-pound man on his back.
And of course, it's one thing to get up, it's another to get separation, which Derrick Lewis was not able to get after that first takedown attempt. Under 90 seconds to go in the round.
And if Cormier decides that this is how he wants to fight, even if it's for 25 minutes, it doesn't matter if he took this on 3 days' notice. I'm pretty sure that this fight, like this, if it keeps going this way, Cormier could do that. I could call him, he could be on his couch with his kids, and I could be like, hey, I need you to come wrestle for 25 minutes.
Some big ground strikes. That got Lewis's attention.
He took Lewis's back. He's going under the neck. Lewis just doesn't seem to know how to get up here. And even if he knows how,
he's got to watch his neck, man.
Some pretty effective hammer fists from DC.
And this is where you realize how good a wrestler DC really is. We've seen Derrick Lewis fight before. We've never seen this.
Cracking right there from Cormier as we approach the 30-second mark here in round one of a possible 5.
I mean, people kind of sleep on DC's skill sometimes for some strange reason.
His knee is down. He's down. Now he's not. He's not down. Now he's down.
But wait a minute. Isn't this the new rules? In the new rules,
2 points here.
He has to pick that hand up, right?
Yeah,
now he's legal. No, it's not. It has to have a foot down.
A hand doesn't.
Yeah.
This is why it's confusing. Me and you are even.
Confusing.
Dominant first round for the champion. Let's see what the message is in the corner of the challenger, Derrick Lewis.
All right, breathe for me. Breathe for me. Good job. All right, now I want you to listen. You did very nice standing up, okay? It was a very good job, but you're not staying as long as I want you to. I need you at the end of your punches. Straight, long punches, circle right. We can't move straight back. Immediately push forward like we said he was. So from if you're gonna throw that kick, get a hand in his face first. But I need long punches and I need mobility. Stay out off center line, okay?
Okay.
No comfort, no comfort.
The game plan's perfect. The half guard's perfect.
Keep sitting in the half guard. Keep sitting on that leg.
Big deep breath, You're doing beautiful. I want you to continue the same goddamn thing, okay? He's gonna get more and more tired as you continue doing what you're doing.
Yep.
UFC 230 Cormier versus Lewis is presented by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Twice in Derrick Lewis's UFC run, he has seen a 4th round. He does have a tendency to pace himself a little bit. He certainly is dangerous late, just as he is dangerous early, but not necessarily the start he nor Bob Perez was looking for tonight.
He's got to get those hands loose. And he's got to lower his stance and create some distance.
Yeah, that's the problem. Derrick does stand up very tall, almost has no bend in his knees, which for a wrestler, the caliber of fighter, DC, he's just able to snatch that leg because there's no bend, there's no ability for him to even use his hips to defend a takedown.
Ooh, that's where it gets scary.
Good combination from Derrick Lewis. Back to that switch kick.
Anytime you're standing with that guy, it's very scary. Anything can happen. While DC's trying to close that distance, anything can happen. And if he zigs when he should have zagged, he wakes up with a flashlight in his face.
Ooh.
Nice.
Again, always leaning though, leaning towards that right.
Here we go. Is he going to go for that high crotch? Nope.
Make it 3 takedowns for Daniel Cormier.
But he's right back up.
Yeah, Lewis posted well there.
I think he recognizes how important it is that he not be on his back.
He cannot hang out down there. Wonder if DC's just going to, he's got it locked up here. I wonder if he's just going to try to snap him down or land some knees here.
He landed one.
There he goes, drags him down.
He's going to make Derrick pay.
Nice ankle pick.
So Derrick Lewis forced to fight off his back yet again. Just over 3 minutes to go here, round 2.
And DC immediately gets him into side control again.
Oh, and he steps over that leg. That's a terrible position to be in. You have no real defense other than turning your back at that point.
And he gives up his back, and Daniel's got one hook in.
Oh, that's it, Joe.
He's got the neck.
Looks like DC's under that chin.
He's got it.
There's the tap. Daniel Cormier defends his UFC heavyweight title. A quick night at the office for the still heavyweight king and one of the greatest of all time, Gilroy High School wrestling coach Daniel Cormier.
And he didn't have to eat one bomb.
Nothing.
Slipped and slid his way away from all the haymakers.
And it just shows you how elite Daniel Cormier is and how good the choking game is because, you know, Derrick Lewis had never been submitted before. He's been in compromising spots on the ground. That's about as easy as DC could have made it look tonight.
He realized how good a wrestler he really is. See, a lot of people are moving out of this arena shaking their head, though. Like they were hoping to see a knockout. They were hoping to see
But that's
the
what's so
upset.
great about it, right? That's why it becomes intriguing. But you almost forget that DC is DC. And even me, I'm like, oh man, can Lewis land that right hand? And then as the fight started, I'm like, no, there's DC doing what I kind of originally expected him to do, and he got the job done.
This replay brought to you by Nemiroff, bold character since 1872.
Well, it was the single leg game of DC all day. He could head outside, inside. It didn't matter whether he was going to pick you up with a high crotch. Here we saw him. He had the head and arm. He snapped it down. That's an amazing little ankle pick. As soon as Lewis popped up, he picked that ankle, got on top, came around, took the back, threw in the choke, made it look seamless and easy. The champ strikes again. There's a reason this man is one of the greatest mixed martial artists that we have today.
And a big part of the goal tonight was to try to preserve a potential date with Brock Lesnar prior to his 40th birthday, which is March 20th of next year. A massive payday for Daniel Cormier, and certainly he gets the desired result here tonight. He was even smiling during the fight. I just think he felt like this was a great matchup for him, and certainly it proved to be that.
He pulled it off big time.
The official decision brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Get unlimited high-speed data all month long on the same network as T-Mobile. One final time tonight, the veteran voice of the Octagon, Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Herb Dean has called a stop to this contest at 2 minutes, 14 seconds of round number 2. Declaring the winner by submission due to a rear naked choke, and still the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Daniel DC Cormier.
Congratulations, champ. Ooh, I get to look at this twice. 2 belts, one on each shoulder, baby. Thank you for blessing me, Dana White. I thought I was just getting one. But boy, look at that. Woo! Woo!
DC, tonight you became the first man to ever defend both the light heavyweight and the heavyweight title.
Hey, it's history, baby. Like my man John Anik says, history in the making, Daniel Cormier, one of the greatest of all time.
DC, was this fight in any way surprising to you? What happened?
You know what surprised me? When I took that last shot, he punched me in the eye on the way in. I was blinking for about 30 seconds like, what in the world was that? Hey, my legs hurt and I almost checked this kick. Everything he did had unbelievable power. What a guy Derrick Lewis is. I truly do appreciate him. I love his Instagram. I love his story, and it was an honor for me to share the Octagon with him.
Do you think that a fight like this, which was a fight that there was a lot of people thinking that what he had was a puncher's chance, but what you had was skill and experience, that this is in a lot of ways a learning experience for both fight fans and for fighters alike?
I think a lot of people have to understand that I've been doing this for 9 years, and I fought at the championship level for 8 of them. So there's no surprises with me. I come in here and try to do my thing. If you have a puncher's chance, like I've said, that's not enough. You have to be one of the best in the world to even compete. And Derrick is good, but just not that level yet.
Which brings me to the next challenge, which is most likely going to be Brock Lesnar. What are your thoughts on that?
Brock Lesnar, when you come, bring that brand new WWE title too. I feel like being a WWE champion too. Let's go! Let's go, Brock! Bring that belt with you if you come to my house.
Congratulations, champ.
Joe Rogan, you are the man, buddy. I want to kiss you.
Give me a kiss.
My God, that's what I'm talking about.
The champ, ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Cormier.
Oh, and he's got Junior there and his daughter Marquita, his wife Selena. The heavyweight championship road still goes through San Jose, California. Daniel Cormier getting it done tonight. That post-fight interview brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Get up to 60% off until November 5th. Play as your favorite UFC superstars in the most complete MMA game ever. EA Sports UFC 3 available on Xbox One and PS4. He's got a belt for each kid. Could be worse.
When did he become the best post-fight interview ever? Because he did. Somewhere along the line, I guess it's from all those years of doing commentary and doing, analyst work. He's hilarious.
ridiculous now. He's loose, he's ridiculous, he's entertaining.
He doesn't need hot balls to own that mic.
No, not at all. But hey, he knew he was in there, and if Derrick Lewis would have won, he would have said something hilarious. So he knew I had to step up my post-fight interview game, and he did. He even got a kiss. Joe got a kiss.
I got a kiss right there, baby. I'm never gonna watch it.
Did. Joe didn't want the lips. A little turn there at the end. Well, there can
only let him kiss me on the lips. I love that.
Tonight
man.
would be the time. Well, there can only be one fighter of the year in 2018, and you can be sure Daniel Cormier is that guy.
UFC 230, Cormier versus Lewis, has been brought to you by Harley-Davidson. When you fire up an HD motorcycle, adrenaline kicks in and refuses to tap out. Check it out at h-d.com/explore. And by Motel 6. When you're ready to tap out, book online at motel6.com. We'll leave the light on for you.
This is a championship doubleheader that has the entire MMA world buzzing.
Max Holloway, undisputed featherweight champion.
He's a hungry lion, I'm a hungry lion, and it's time to feast.
Brian Ortega, an undefeated monster.
Hell is gonna break loose. I'm not leaving without that belt.
Valentina Shevchenko is a destroyer, but Joanna Jędrzejczyk is a vicious, ruthless killer.
The stakes get bigger. 2 belts on the line. All right, here's a look at our live event schedule spanning the next 3 weeks. A big one next Saturday, November 10th in Denver. The Korean Zombie, Chan Sung Jung, returns against Yair Rodriguez. That is FS1 UFC Fight Night as we commemorate the 25th anniversary of the UFC and a huge fight in terms of the pecking order at 145 pounds. 1 week later, November 17th, the UFC's first jaunt to Argentina, Neil Magny and Santiago Ponzinibbio, the men on the marquee. That's also a 10 p.m. Eastern start for the main card on FS1. And Saturday, November 24th, live early a.m. from Beijing, China, exclusively on UFC Fight Pass, UFC Fight Night, Blades versus Ngannou, 6:30 a.m. Eastern for the main card on UFC Fight Pass. And we mentioned that Denver show. How about the main card for FS1 UFC Fight Night, the Korean Zombie versus Rodriguez? That is your main event. Co-main event is All the Rage, Donald Cowboy Cerrone and Platinum Mike Perry. Former teammates will go at it. Raquel Pennington returns against Jermaine Durandamy, Joseph Benavidez and Ray Borg in the flyweight division. All part of a 6-fight main card coming your way 1 week from tonight in Denver, Colorado. All right, what a night here in New York City. John Anik, Joe Rogan, Paul Felder, and as many expected coming in as the odds makers thought, the night belongs to Daniel Cormier.
I think it was easier than even I expected.
Yeah.
I really do think that. I knew that Daniel was by far the superior fighter in terms of his experience, in terms of his overall range of skills, but he fought flawlessly tonight. He did get clipped by one punch, as he talked about in the post-fight interview, but once he got a hold of Derrick, he just took him down at will. Anytime he wanted to take him down, he took him down. He beat him up, and the only real danger was in closing the gap and bringing him to the ground. But every time he got him on the ground, he just smashed him. So just superior wrestling is what it really was.
Yeah, I mean, we saw some beautiful takedowns there. I mean, the single legs, he did make it look absolutely easy. I'm glad we got to see a nice little tricky move there where he level changed, came up, ankle picked. I mean, that was just beautiful work and just flawless for DC. He made it look like, oh, of course, it's just an ankle pick. I could barely ever hit that in my lifetime.
And I'm not sure if Derrick Lewis could do anything differently if these guys met 10 times, Joe. I mean, maybe you just get super reckless out of the chute. I mean, if you're Derrick Lewis...
The only thing that he could do is go to another camp like American Kickboxing Academy and really learn how to wrestle. That's what he needs to do. What he needs to do is, if he's going to beat a guy like Daniel, now he's been exposed, right? Like, this is a giant weakness in his game. You fight an elite wrestler who doesn't have an answer to that. He needs to find someone to truly test him in wrestling and coach him and give him the skills and give him the techniques to get back up and to stuff those takedowns. It is possible. It's certainly possible. I mean, he can learn just like he's learned all the other aspects of MMA.
So we show you the heavyweight rankings right now. Now, Daniel Cormier has said he would grant Stipe Miocic a rematch if Brock Lesnar is unable to make that walk
all indications are, Joe, that it is going to be Daniel Cormier and Brock Lesnar at some point first quarter 2019.
Well, you know, this is interesting in terms of the fans, right? We don't know nothing about Brock anymore. We haven't seen him in forever. He's almost 40 years old. He's been doing WWE stuff for a long time. Only he knows how much he's been training, like actually training striking, actually training real conditioning. I mean, I've seen images of him. He's certainly leaning up. He looks lighter, but that's probably, you know, something he's ramping up for when we're looking at sometime in 2019, him fighting for the title again.
Yeah, I mean, of course I want to see that fight. I want to see DC make as much money as humanly possible, and the fans obviously around the world, it's something that's intriguing. But as far as competition and challenges for Daniel Cormier, I think there's a lot of other options out there that is MMA-wise are much more challenging. I think would destroy Brock Lesnar.
Do you think that there's a danger in too many of these kind of fights? Too many of these kind of
novelty type?
Yes. That you know, almost like Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. Like, let's see.
Right. He's going to fight Khabib now.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. I mean, is there a danger in that where people start conflating this with pro wrestling?
Well, that's certainly something that we hope doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
That there would be any sort of correlation there, but I think it's a fair question.
For the casual fan, not for guys like you or I,
right.
But for the casual fan, they're like, what? That guy's doing that? Is this fake?
I still honestly think we're a far cry away from that. If every now and then there's a big super fight or something like that. But, I mean, DC just defended his title against the #2 guy in the world. So as long as there's that, and you know, especially down the rankings in other divisions, I don't think we're going to see anything like that. I don't think it's ever going to be comparable to whatever else we're talking about there.
I don't think it's comparable, but what I do think is, look, my feeling is I love DC. I want him to make all the money in the world. The real money is in Brock Lesnar. But Stipe Miocic defends the title 4 times. He's the greatest of all time in terms of his accomplishments, and he's sitting around outside of the conversation.
Right.
He's like, where am I?
Most decorated UFC heavyweight champion on paper, going into that July fight with Stipe Miocic.
Yeah,
certainly has as strong a case as anyone.
Yeah.
So in terms of the co-main event tonight, I have a huge win for Jacare Souza. When he lost to Kelvin Gastelum in May, most people, pundits, whomever else, sort of buried him in terms of his ability to get that elusive UFC title shot, put himself in prime position with a win tonight.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, he was busted up, bloodied up. Chris Weidman did look the best he's ever looked. He was landing strikes from every angle. But Jacare was a warrior tonight, man. He's pouring blood out of his nose. He can't breathe right. But not for one moment did he ever think, I'm going to just give up. I'm not going to fight back. I'm going to let this kind of just go to the judges and forget about it. He fought for a finish all 15 minutes of that fight, or as long as it lasted. And then at the end of this fight, catches him with a beautiful right hand. And props to Jacare for being an absolute martial artist and a respectful human being. He didn't want to have to put any more damage on Chris Weidman than was necessary. Dan kind of missed it on that one. Could have stepped in a little earlier, but like you said, Joe, that's the toughest job in the world to be in there. These guys are making money. This is their livelihood. If you step in too early, you might ruin a guy's career.
Absolutely.
Joe, most would argue the 185-pound division of the UFC has never been stronger. Robert Whittaker will defend the belt against Kelvin Gastelum at some point in 2019. That's the next championship fight. But given what 9th-ranked Israel Adesanya did tonight, perhaps in a backup situation, he draws Jacare Souza. I think you talk about what Jacare did tonight, but Adesanya really emerged off this win tonight.
That man's a wizard. And they need to change those rankings. It's a damn disgrace to see him still stuck at number 9. Look, what he did tonight was beautiful. It was gorgeous. It was a work of art. And he did it against a dangerous cat in Derek Brunson. But he made Derek Brunson look like he had no business in there with him. It was, in my opinion, very similar to Chris Weidman when he fought Anderson Silva. Yeah. It was a coming out party for a beautiful style bender. The guy has the kind of technique that you want to see in the Octagon. When you see a striker make his career and shift it over to MMA, you want to see a guy who knows how to stuff takedowns but still shows the kind of striking that you know he's capable of. And that's what Israel Adesanya does. What he does is he throws these techniques perfectly with precision and accuracy, and he knows what to throw and when to throw it. I mean, he's a unique talent.
Yeah, he is truly a sniper in that division. The way he picks his shot, his accuracy is second to none. I would say that he is probably the best striker in the UFC right now.
Wow.
He's certainly one of them, unquestionably. And one of the more exciting because he's got so much charisma and he's so intelligent and well-spoken, and there's so much about him. You know, he's got that thing.
I'm glad you touched on the intelligence, because Joe Silva tried to sign him years ago, and it wasn't necessarily that he didn't think he was ready, but he just wanted to cut his teeth some more, and certainly when he debuted earlier this year in Perth, Australia, he was ready.
It is a smart move because, look, there's an argument for making your way through the Ultimate Fighter or, you know, Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, and then you have a couple of shots, and then you're a John Jones. Like, John Jones pulled that off, right? John Jones came into the UFC with very few fights and became the youngest champion of all time. But how many John Jones are there? Right? There's not that many. Right? He did it, and he's one of the greatest of all time for sure. But for most fighters, the proper path is to have all your bases covered before you ever fight any Derek Brunsons.
Right.
And that's what Israel Adesanya did. He did it the right way. He did it the intelligent way. And what we get to see is art. We get to see art in there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful, flawless performance. I mean, from the takedown defense to just absolutely making Brunson miss with every shot that he was throwing, and then just bing, bing. He makes it look easy, right? He makes it look easy.
And then still, I tried to tell him you gave him an A+. He said, I give myself a B+.
Yeah.
That's
him.
But that's why he is who he is, and why he, you know, the sky's the limit for that kid, for sure.
And you got to like, he doesn't cut a lot of weight either. Weighed in 183 for his UFC debut. He's a guy who can step up on short notice potentially as well. All right, final thought before we let you get on with your night.
Listen, what we saw tonight was what I kind of expected. I kind of expected Daniel Cormier to show the full range of skills that allowed him to become a two-division champion. But I also kind of expected Derrick Lewis to threaten him. I think Derrick Lewis did threaten him. He did catch him with a couple of punches, but what we saw is what we were supposed to see. That's what we saw in the Stylebender fight, and ultimately that's really what we saw in the Weidman-Jacare fight as well.
Right.
What we saw is what we're supposed to see. Rock'em, sock'em robots, two champions, anything can happen, something did.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, just DC, who had a better year than Daniel Cormier? Two belts, defends his belts, and what we were talking about too, Joe, is just for the fans at home. I mean, this sport proved why it's so great and why this is the best sport in the world to me. Is Chris Weidman and Jacare. That fight, you are never out of an MMA fight as long as you want to keep fighting and keep going and trying to win. I mean, he proved that you can always find a finish in this sport. You have to watch these fights to the end.
And either one of them could have done that.
Yeah.
At any point, Chris could have landed a crazy knee. He could have landed a crazy punch. He had Jacare hurt earlier in the fight, and they both threw right hands at the same time.
Yeah.
Just Jacare's hit the perfect spot.
Joe Rogan, Paul Felder, an honor to share the space with you, men. Have a great night.
Thank you.
The executive producers of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC President Dana White, Ari Emanuel, and Patrick Weitzel. Our executive VP of Operations and Production is Craig Borsari. Our coordinating producer, the great Zach Candido. Tonight's show has been produced by Michael Lappy-LaPlante and directed by the venerable Anthony Pasquale Giordano. As usual, what a night here in New York City. Carl Robertson had to battle through some adversity, but he gets the better of Jack Marshman and emerges as another guy to keep an eye on at 185 pounds. This was billed as moving night in the middleweight division. We saw a lot of fighters take that requisite next step forward. How about the killer gorilla, Jared Cannonier? Taking out the number 7 ranked contender, David Branch. Cannonier is going to find himself on a top 10 list come Wednesday night. But we saved the best for last in terms of the co-main event. Jacare Souza and Chris Weidman went toe-to-toe. The decision could have gone either way, but the judges' scorecards were not needed because Jacare closed the show and knocked out Chris Weidman on his New York home turf tonight. And then Daniel Cormier, as he so often does, made it look easy in defense of his UFC heavyweight championship to cement his status as one of the best of all time. With that, for Joe Rogan, Paul Felder, and the rest, John Anik saying so long from New York City. We will see you next month from north of the border for UFC 231. Good night.